The body doesn't just move, it speaks. And I've learned to translate its language. My name is Sofia Patel Rivera, and this is the story of how my weird dancing transformed neurological rehabilitation. But to understand how we got here, we need to start in a bedroom in Boston, where a young girl discovered that movement could heal. Growing up in a family of medical professionals, I was always the misfit. My father was a renowned neurologist, my mother a physical therapist, and my older sister Mara was already making waves in neurosurgery. Then there was me, spending hours creating unusual dance movements and recording their effects on my mood and physical state. Beta, my father would say, watching me practice my unconventional routines. You have a brilliant mind for medicine, why waste it on dancing? What they didn't understand was that I wasn't just dancing, I was researching. Every movement sequence was an experiment. Every physical response a data point in what would later become the foundation of neural movement therapy, NMT. The breaking point came during my final year at MIT, while my family celebrated Amara's acceptance into Harvard Medical School's neurosurgery program. I announced my decision to combine my computer science degree with dance therapy research. Dance won't heal brain injuries, my father said firmly. You're throwing away your potential. I met his gaze steadily and replied, Dad, the brain doesn't just think, it moves. And movement can reshape neural pathways. At the MIT Media Lab, I finally found my academic home. My professors recognized something unique in my approach to movement therapy, while others focused on traditional rehabilitation methods. I was exploring how artificial intelligence could analyze and optimize therapeutic movement patterns. The breakthrough came during my graduate research. I had been studying how different dance sequences affected neural activity, but I realized we were approaching movement therapy too conventionally. We weren't just dealing with physical rehabilitation, we were working with the brain's incredible capacity for neuroplasticity. Late one night in my movement laboratory, surrounded by motion capture sensors and neural monitoring equipment, I had my epiphany. Traditional therapy treated movement as a mechanical process, but what if we could approach it as a language of neural communication? I developed a revolutionary approach that combined advanced AI analysis with precise movement design. My system, which I called neural movement therapy, used machine learning to create personalized movement sequences that could target specific neurological conditions. My doctoral research caught the attention of Dr. Sarah Chong, a pioneering researcher in neuroplasticity at Johns Hopkins. She offered me a position in her laboratory, along with resources to develop my theories further. My family's reaction was predictable. Movement research? My mother exclaimed. Your sister just performed her first brain surgery. But I had stopped seeking their approval. 2 weeks after graduation, I was setting up my first clinical trial, my heart dancing with possibility. The initial results exceeded everyone's expectations. Within 6 months, our pilot study showed remarkable improvement in patients with various neurological conditions, from stroke recovery to movement disorders. But what really set NMT apart was its ability to adapt in real time, creating personalized therapy sequences based on each patient's neural responses. Dr. Chong was ecstatic. Sophia, this isn't just rehabilitation, it's neural revolution. Word spread quickly in the medical community. Rehabilitation centers began requesting trials, and research institutions worldwide wanted to study our methods. But it wasn't until the neurological crisis of 2024 that our work caught global attention. A new virus had left thousands with severe movement disorders that resisted conventional treatments, while traditional rehabilitation struggled. NMT showed extraordinary success in helping patients recover. Our AI-designed movement sequences helped rewire damaged neural pathways in ways that traditional therapy couldn't achieve. The International Neuroscience Foundation took notice. Suddenly, I was being invited to speak at medical symposiums, consulted by hospitals worldwide, and featured in neurological journals. NMT was being implemented in major medical centers, and similar programs were starting in developing nations. Yet my family remained skeptical. Dance therapy isn't real medicine, my sister said during one of our rare family dinners. You could be saving lives in the operating room by now. I didn't bother arguing. The results spoke for themselves. By 2025, NMT had successfully treated over 50,000 patients with conditions ranging from stroke recovery to neurodegenerative disorders. Our clinical data was undeniable. Movement-based neural healing was revolutionizing rehabilitation. Which brings us to today, standing up at this international medical symposium, facing a room full of neuroscientists, doctors, and yes, my family, finally here to witness what their weird dancer had become. My father's dismissive comment still hung in the air. Sophia's just dancing in her room. But as I looked out at the sea of faces, at the screens showing real-time neural imaging from our treatments, I felt only certainty. The cameras flashed as I began to speak. 20 years ago, a young girl believed that dance could heal the brain. Today, I'm here to tell you that she was right. Our nervous system isn't just a network of neurons, it's a choreography of connections, and we now have the technology to conduct this neural dance. I clicked to the first slide, showing the complex AI analysis of therapeutic movement patterns. When traditional rehabilitation couldn't help the victims of the neurological crisis, we had to think differently. We stopped treating movement as just physical therapy and started seeing it as neural communication. For the next hour, I explained the science behind NMT, the AI algorithms that analyzed movement patterns, the neural monitoring systems, the way we created personalized therapeutic choreographies for each patient, but more importantly, I shared our vision. We can transform rehabilitation, I declared, not by just exercising muscles, but by speaking directly to the nervous system through movement. The healing we needed wasn't just in medications or surgery, it was in understanding and working with the brain's own language of motion. The presentation ended with recent footage of patients recovering through our therapy, people walking who had been told they never would again, Parkinson's patients regaining fluid movement, stroke survivors rediscovering their balance. The applause was thunderous. Later, at the reception, my family approached. My mother's eyes were wet with tears. "Sophia," she said softly, "we were wrong, so wrong." My father, ever the neurologist, had questions about the neural mechanisms and plasticity responses. Even Amara, the neurosurgeon, was particularly interested in integrating NMT into postoperative recovery protocols. "You really did create a new kind of medicine," she admitted, hugging me tightly, "with dancing, of all things." But the most meaningful moment came when a young physical therapy student approached me, clutching a research proposal. "Dr. Patel Rivera," she said earnestly, "I want to be like you when I graduate. My professors say combining dance with AI isn't serious medicine, but..." I smiled, remembering my own journey. "Let me tell you a secret," I said. "Every medical breakthrough begins with someone questioning the conventional. Never let anyone tell you your ideas are too different or your approach too unconventional." That evening, I stood on my hotel balcony, watching the city move below. My phone was buzzing with messages, congratulations, collaboration requests, interview invitations, but my thoughts were in that long-ago bedroom, where a young girl believed in the healing power of movement. The next morning, I was back in our research center, fine-tuning our latest AI algorithms, because while awards and recognition are nice, the real reward is watching patients heal. Every successful recovery, every restored movement, every rediscovered ability, these are the true measures of success. My team has grown now. Young researchers from around the world come to learn our methods, each bringing their own insights and innovations. We've expanded beyond neurological conditions, adapting our therapy for psychological trauma, chronic pain, and developmental disorders. The work isn't always easy. We face challenges from skeptics, technical hurdles, and the complexity of neural rehabilitation. But every time I see data showing another successful recovery, I know we're on the right path. Last week, I received a package from my parents. Inside was my first movement journal, where I had meticulously recorded my early dance experiments. They'd kept it all these years. Tucked inside was a note. "Dear Sophia, we kept this to remind us of how wrong we were. Your weird dancing wasn't just playing, it was research. It was innovation. It was a new way of healing. We're sorry we didn't understand sooner. You didn't just create a new therapy, you showed us a new way of understanding the brain. Love, Mom and Dad." I keep that journal in my office now, alongside our sophisticated motion capture equipment and neural monitoring systems. It reminds me that great achievements often grow from unusual beginnings, that healing can take many forms, and that sometimes, the most powerful medicine comes from following your own rhythm. As I write this, I'm preparing for another day of research. Our AI will analyze new movement patterns, patients will heal, and somewhere, another person will rediscover the joy of fluid motion. My father might still think I'm just dancing, but I know better. I'm choreographing neural recovery, one movement at a time. And to that young girl in her bedroom, creating strange dances and believing in their healing power, you were right all along. Keep moving, keep experimenting, keep believing. The world needs your kind of medicine. Today, when people ask me what I do, I don't say I'm a neurologist or a dance therapist or even a movement specialist. I tell them I'm a neural choreographer, because that's what my work is really about, understanding the brain's dance, creating movements that speak its language, and helping it find its way back to health. Rehabilitation is evolving faster than anyone thought possible. Our method has been adopted by medical centers in over 50 countries. The World Health Organization has established new guidelines for movement-based therapy based on our research. And every day, more people are beginning to understand what that young girl in Boston knew all along, that healing isn't just about medicine and surgery, it's about speaking the body's own language of movement. My family now jokes that they should have taken dance lessons from me years ago, but this was never about dancing in the traditional sense. It was about proving that unconventional approaches, when combined with rigorous science, can lead to breakthroughs that change lives. As I prepare for my next presentation at the Global Neuroscience Summit, I think about all the other innovators out there, the ones being told their ideas are too strange, their methods too unorthodox. To them, I say, hold on to your vision, nurture it like a precious choreography, because you never know which unique perspective might grow into a solution that transforms medicine. The rehabilitation centers are moving with healing rhythms, and somewhere in Boston, in another bedroom laboratory, new experiments are taking shape. My niece has started creating her own movement sequences, much to everyone's amusement, but this time, no one's calling it weird. After all, they know better now. Sometimes, the biggest breakthroughs start with the strangest dances. And as for me, I'm still dancing in my room, and I wouldn't have it any other way. 10 years have passed since that medical symposium. The neural movement therapy program has exceeded our wildest expectations. Over 80% of major rehabilitation centers now include some form of AI-guided movement therapy in their treatment protocols. Patient outcomes have improved dramatically, and healthcare providers report more effective, personalized healing than they've seen in generations. My old bedroom in Boston has been preserved as an innovation center, where medical students come to learn about the foundations of neural movement therapy and explore their own innovative approaches to healing. My parents lead workshops there now, proudly explaining how their daughter's weird dancing revolutionized neurological rehabilitation. The young therapy student who approached me at the symposium, she's now one of our leading researchers, developing new applications of NMT for pediatric conditions. When I see her working with patients, that same look of wonder in her eyes that I had at her age, I know our legacy is in good hands. Last month, I received the highest honor of my career, not another medical award or research recognition, but a letter from a former patient who had been told she would never dance again. It contained a small music box and these words: Dr. Patel Rivera, you helped me remember what my body knew all along, that healing is about finding your own rhythm. This music box played the first song I danced to after recovering. Keep it, and remember that your work has created movements of hope across the world. That music box now sits in a special place in my laboratory, alongside my first movement journal. It reminds me that every great achievement starts with a simple belief, that something as natural as movement can have profound healing power. To anyone reading this who's being told their ideas are too different, their methods too unconventional, or their vision too radical, remember my story. Remember that medicine needs all kinds of minds, all kinds of approaches, all kinds of movement. And sometimes, just sometimes, weird dancing can heal the world.
I was 7 when I learned that giving up what you love doesn't make people love you more. It just teaches them you're willing to lose. My name is Sadie, and I'm staring at my bank account balance, trying not to throw up. The emergency fund I've been building for 3 years, my down payment nest egg, is gone. $68,000, vanished from our joint family account overnight. It was an emergency plumbing issue, Mum had said when I called, her voice syrupy sweet. We meant to tell you, sweetie. You know we're good for it. I'm still processing this when my sister Lexi burst through our apartment door, designer shopping bags swinging from both arms. Guess who just got promoted to senior PR manager? She twirls, her blonde hair catching the light. This girl. That's great, I manage, closing my laptop. Congratulations. Mom and Dad are throwing me this huge party at the country club next weekend. She drops her bags on our shared coffee table. They said you'd help plan it. You will, right? My stomach clenches. A party? At the country club? Yeah, they're going all out. Dad says I deserve it. She starts pulling out dresses. Speaking of which, can I borrow your credit card? Just until my signing bonus hits. I think about my empty account, about the plumbing emergency that supposedly drained it. I can't right now, Lex. I'm tight this month. She rolls her eyes. You're always so dramatic about money. It's just a loan. Like the last 3 loans you never paid back? Oh my God, are you seriously keeping track? She throws a dress onto our couch. You sound just like my ex-boyfriend. So petty. I get up, needing air, but she grabs my arm. Wait, I almost forgot. Mum needs you to pick up the party favours tomorrow. She ordered these cute little custom champagne bottles. Why can't she do it? Because she's meeting with the caterer, duh. Come on, Sadie, this is important to me. Important enough to steal my savings? I want to ask. Instead, I say, I'll think about it. You're being weird, she says, studying me. Is this because Daniel dumped you? Because that was like months ago. The mention of Daniel stings, but not as much as it used to. This isn't about him. Then what's your problem? You're acting like... Her phone chimes and she squeals. Oh my God, Mum just sent the party menu. Look at this. She shoves her phone in my face. I freeze when I see the invoice total at the bottom. $67,943. Exactly what was in my account. Down to the dollar. Isn't it amazing, Lexi gushes. Dad said they've been saving forever for this. No, they haven't been saving. I have. I have to go, I say, grabbing my keys. Where are you going? We need to plan my outfit. I'm already halfway out the door when she calls after me. Don't forget those party favours. And Sadie, try to be happy for me for once. I drive straight to Ruby's apartment. She opens the door, takes one look at my face, and pulls me inside. Spill, she says, pouring wine. I tell her everything. The missing money, the party, the lies. Those manipulative bastards, Ruby says when I finish. Please tell me you're not actually going to help plan this thing. I don't have a choice. You know how they get. You always have a choice. You're just too scared to make it. I'm not scared, I snap. I'm practical. If I rock the boat now, they'll just what? Take advantage of you more. Steal more of your money. Newsflash, they're already doing that. My phone buzzes. A text from Mum. Don't forget those party favours tomorrow, sweetie, and wear something nice to the planning dinner. The Perkins will be there. Ruby reads over my shoulder and snorts. The Perkins? As in Tanner Perkins? The guy your dad owes money to? I look up sharply. What are you talking about? Girl, everyone knows your dad's been borrowing from half the business owners in town. My cousin works at the bank. She says he's maxed out everywhere. The wine turns sour in my stomach. Why wouldn't he tell me that? Same reason they didn't tell you about stealing your money for Lexi's party. Ruby takes my phone and shows me the invoice again. Look at this guest list. Over 100 people. It's not just a party, it's a show. And you're bankrolling it. My hands shake as I take back my phone. Another text pops up, this time from Lexi. BTW, I'm turning your corner of the apartment into my walk-in closet. You don't need that much space anyway. Love you. Something inside me snaps. Ruby, I say quietly, I think I need your help with something. She grins, already reaching for her laptop. I thought you'd never ask. The planning dinner is exactly what I expect. A masterclass in manipulation disguised as celebration. Mum's dining room looks like a Pinterest board exploded, with sample centerpieces and colour swatches everywhere. Sadie, darling, you're late, Mum says, air kissing my cheek. Everyone's already here. Everyone means the usual suspects. Dad holding court at the head of the table, Lexi preening beside him, and the Perkins, looking far less comfortable than usual. Traffic, I lie, taking the only empty seat, directly across from Tanner Perkins, who won't meet my eyes. We were just discussing the speech order, Mum says, passing me a typed schedule. You'll go right after your father. Speech? I look up. I didn't agree to give a speech. Of course you did, Lexi chirps. Remember? About how proud you are of me? No, I definitely didn't. Sadie. Dad's voice carries that warning tone I know too well. Your sister's success is a family celebration. We all play our part. I notice Tanner shift uncomfortably in his seat. Interesting. Speaking of family, Mum interjects brightly, we have the most wonderful surprise. My stomach drops. In this family, wonderful surprises usually cost me something. Tell her, Daddy. Lexi bounces in her seat. Dad clears his throat. Well, Princess, since your career is really taking off, we thought you could use more space. So we've arranged for Sadie to move out of the apartment. The room spins. You what? Isn't it perfect? Lexi squeals. I'll finally have room for all my work clothes. When exactly were you planning to tell me this? My voice sounds strange, even to me. We're telling you now, silly. Mum laughs, that high, fake laugh she uses when she's nervous. We found you the cutest little studio across town. It's cozy. Cozy, I repeat. With what money exactly? The table goes quiet. Tanner suddenly becomes very interested in his water glass. Now, Sadie, Dad starts. This isn't the time. Actually, it's exactly the time. I stand up. You stole my savings, threw it at a party I didn't agree to, and now you're kicking me out of my own apartment? Nobody's kicking you out, Mum hisses, eyes darting to the Perkins. We're helping you become independent. Independent? I laugh. Like how you helped me be independent by making me co-sign Dad's business loans. Tanner chokes on his water. Dad's face goes white. That's enough, Mum snaps. You're embarrassing your sister. God, Sadie, why do you always have to make everything about you? Lexi whines. This is my moment. Your moment? I'm shaking now. Do you know what my moment was? When I made junior partner last month? No one even noticed because you were too busy planning your birthday week. That's different. Or when I got that scholarship to business school. Mum was too busy helping you recover from your third failed semester to even come to the ceremony. Sadie, please. Dad tries to stand, but I'm already heading for the door. Wait! Mum calls after me. What about the party favours? I turn back one last time. Get them yourself. I quit. I'm halfway to my car when Lexi catches up to me. You're being so selfish right now. Selfish? I spin around. You took my entire savings. You weren't even using it. It was for a house, Lexi. My future. She rolls her eyes. Please. We both know you'll never leave. You need us too much. Need you? Something clicks inside me. You know what? You're right. I do need something. I pull out my phone and dial Ruby. Hey, I say when she picks up, not breaking eye contact with Lexi. Remember that thing we discussed? Let's do it. What thing? Lexi demands. What are you planning? I smile, and for the first time I see real fear in my sister's eyes. You'll find out at your party. Dad! She screams toward the house. Sadie's threatening me. Not threatening, I say, getting into my car. Promising, I drive straight to Ruby's place, where she's already set up her laptop. You sure about this? She asks as I walk in. I think about my empty bank account, about the cozy studio they planned to dump me in, about years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who always gives in. Show me everything, I say. Every loan, every credit card, every lie. Ruby grins. Girl, you're not ready for what I found? My phone buzzes. A text from Dad. Just got the final guest list. Over 100 people coming to celebrate our Lexi. Don't let us down. I show Ruby the text. No, I say. I won't let them down. I'll give them exactly the show they deserve. Ruby cracks her knuckles. Let's make it one they'll never forget. Holy shit, Ruby whispers, scrolling through documents on her screen. Your dad didn't just take out loans. He took out loans to pay other loans. I lean closer. How bad is it? Bad enough that they're using your savings to throw a party for their creditors, not just Lexi? She points to names on the guest list. Tanner Perkins, Maria Rodriguez, James Foster. They're all people your dad owes money to. So the party is what? Some kind of smokescreen? More like a Hail Mary. Show everyone how successful and stable the family is. Ruby snorts. Classic con man move. My phone buzzes again. Dad's calling. I silence it. Look at this, Ruby says, pulling up another document. Your mum's been writing checks from your joint account for months. Small amounts, probably hoping you wouldn't notice. Until they needed the big sum for the party. I feel sick. What about Lexi? Is she involved? Not directly, but Ruby clicks through more files. Her promotion? The company she works for is one of your dad's biggest creditors. Lindsay McBride, her new boss. She's on the guest list too. The pieces click together. They're using Lexi's success to prove they're good for the money. Bingo! Ruby sits back. Question is, what are you going to do about it? Before I can answer, there's a knock at her door. We freeze. Sadie? It's my father's voice. I know you're in there. Your car's outside. Ruby quickly closes her laptop. I open the door. What do you want? He holds up a manila envelope. Can we talk? Privately? Ruby squeezes my shoulder as she passes us. I'll be in the kitchen. Shout if you need me. Dad sits on Ruby's couch, looking smaller than I remember. I brought you something. He pulls papers from the envelope. Your speech for the party. I told you I'm not... Please. His voice cracks. Just read it first. I take the papers. The speech is handwritten, 3 pages long. It's all about family loyalty, sister bonds, noble sacrifices. My stomach turns with each word. This is fiction, I say finally. None of this is true. It's what people need to hear. You mean what your creditors need to hear? He flinches. How did you... Does Mom know? I interrupt. About the loans? The real reason for this party? Your mother. He rubs his face. She sees what she wants to see. And Lexi? Leave your sister out of this. His tone hardens. She's finally doing well. Don't ruin this for her. Like you ruined my chance at buying a house? That was temporary. Once things settle... Things will never settle, Dad. You'll just find another hole to dig. He stands abruptly. I'm not asking any more, Sadie. You will give this speech. You will support your sister. That's what family does. No, I say quietly. That's what victims do. His face darkens. You ungrateful little... He stops himself, straightens his tie. The speech, the party. Be there, be smiling, or I'll make sure everyone knows who really co-signed those loans. After he leaves, Ruby comes back in. You okay? I'm holding the speech so tight it's crumpling. He threatened me. What are you going to do? I smooth out the papers, noticing something fall from between them. It's a bank statement, one he must have accidentally left in the envelope. Ruby, I say slowly, can you hack into the country club's AV system? She grins. Already did. Why? I hand her the statement. Because I'm going to give them a speech they'll never forget. My phone pings with a text from Lexi. Dad says you're being difficult again. Don't worry. I already told everyone you're excited to move out. No backing out now. I show Ruby the text. You know what the worst part is? They really think they're the heroes of this story. Then let's show them they're not. Ruby opens her laptop again. Time to write your own speech. I think about all the times I stayed quiet. All the achievements overlooked. All the money borrowed. All the sacrifices demanded but never appreciated. No, I say, a cold clarity settling over me. Not a speech. The truth. All of it. Ruby's fingers hover over her keyboard. You sure? Once we do this, there's no going back. I think about Dad's threat, about Lexi's entitlement, about Mom's willful blindness, about my empty bank account, and the future they stole. Good, I say, because I'm done going back. Let's burn it all down. The country club ballroom looks like a magazine spread. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, and a massive screen displaying a slideshow of Lexi's perfectly curated life. My stolen money at work. There's my helpful daughter, Mom trills as I walk in. The party favours look gorgeous. I smile tightly. Ruby handled the favours yesterday, along with installing a few extra surprises in the AV system. Sadie! Lexi waves from across the room, surrounded by admirers. Come meet my new team. I recognise Lindsay McBride among them, champagne in hand, laughing at something Lexi said. She has no idea her newest employee's promotion was bought with borrowed money. Later, I call back, scanning the crowd. Over 100 people, just as planned. Tanner Perkins by the bar, Maria Rodriguez near the stage, all of Dad's creditors gathered in one room. Ruby appears at my elbow, disguised as a server. Everything's set, she whispers. You sure about this? I watch Dad working the room, shaking hands, playing the proud father. More sure than I've ever been. Sadie! Mum's voice cuts through the crowd. Come help your sister with her speech. I find Lexi in the preparation room, practicing in front of a mirror. How do I look? She preens. Like someone who's about to get exactly what she deserves. She mistakes my tone for admiration. I know, right? Dad says this is just the beginning. Once people see how successful our family is... Our family? I laugh. You mean the lie of our family? She frowns. What's that supposed to mean? Before I can answer, Dad appears. Places, everyone. Lexi, you're up first, then Victoria, then me, then Sadie with the sister tribute. About that speech, I start. He grips my arm hard. Not another word. His smile never wavers. Just stick to the script. The lights dim. Lexi takes the stage to thunderous applause. Her speech is perfectly rehearsed, all about hard work and family support. Mum follows with tears about her precious girls. Then Dad steps up. Tonight isn't just about success, he begins. It's about family, about sacrifice. He looks directly at me, which is why I'm so proud to announce that our eldest daughter, Sadie, is making a beautiful gesture. The crowd murmurs. I feel my pulse in my throat. Sadie has decided to move out of their shared apartment, giving her sister the space she needs to grow her career. That's what real family does. They put others first. Applause erupts. Lexi blows kisses. Mum dabs her eyes. And now, Dad continues, Sadie will share what this moment means to her. I walk to the stage slowly, passing Ruby at the tech booth. She gives me a subtle nod. Thank you, Dad, I say into the microphone. You're right. This is about family, about sacrifice. I pause. About truth. Dad's smile freezes. My father talks about putting others first. He would know. I signal Ruby. The screen behind me flickers. He's been putting his lies first for years. The slideshow changes to bank statements, credit reports, loan documents. Gasps ripple through the crowd. That money you're drinking, I continue, those flowers you're admiring, they're not paid for with family success. They're paid for with my stolen savings and borrowed money that will never be repaid. Tanner Perkins stands up sharply. Other creditors follow. Sadie, Dad hisses, rushing the stage. Stop this now. Why? Isn't this what you wanted? Everyone knowing our family's truth? I turn back to the crowd. Did you know my sister's promotion came right after Dad met with her boss? That this whole party is just another con? Lindsay McBride's face goes from confused to furious. Lexi starts crying. Security, Mum shrieks. Cut the microphone. Too late, I say, as more documents fill the screen. The truth doesn't need a microphone. The room erupts in chaos. Creditors demanding answers, guests rushing for the doors, Lexi screaming at her boss. And in the middle of it all, my parents, finally facing what they created. You've ruined everything, Mum sobs. No, I say, stepping off the stage. You did that yourselves. I just turned on the lights. I walk through the pandemonium toward the exit. Past Tanner already on his phone with his lawyers. Past Lindsay telling Lexi not to come to work Monday. Past the wreckage of a family built on lies. Ruby meets me at the door. That, she says, was better than therapy. It's not over, I reply, watching Dad try desperately to calm his creditors. This is just the beginning. My phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. I open it and freeze. Hey, it reads. It's Daniel. We need to talk. I'm sitting in my car in the country club parking lot, staring at Daniel's text, when someone pounds on my window. Lexi's mascara-streaked face appears, contorted with rage. Open this door right now. I roll down the window an inch. Why? So you can explain how this is somehow my fault? My boss just fired me. She kicks my tire. Do you have any idea what you've done? Expose the truth? Yeah, that was kind of the point. The truth? She laughs hysterically. The truth is, you're jealous. You've always been jealous because Mum and Dad love me more. Love you? I step out of the car. They used you, Lexi. You were their shield, their perfect little distraction, while they ran their schemes. That's not your promotion? Dad arranged it to keep Lindsay quiet about his debts. Your fancy apartment. Funded by money they stole from me. Your whole life is built on lies. At least I have a life, she screams. What do you have? No boyfriend, no house, no... Lexi! Mum's running toward us, Dad close behind. Get in the car, we need to leave before... Before what? Tanner's voice booms across the parking lot. He's walking over with two other men in suits. Before we discuss the money you owe us? Dad steps forward, arms raised placatingly. Now, Tanner, let's be reasonable. Reasonable? Tanner pulls out his phone. Like these bank statements your daughter just showed everyone? The ones proving you used my investment to fund your younger daughter's fake lifestyle? It's not fake, Lexi protests. Really? Lindsay appears, clutching printouts. Because according to these documents, your father arranged your promotion by promising to pay off our company's loan. A loan that, surprise, is still unpaid. Mum tries to intervene. There's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, Tanner cuts in, was thinking you people had any intention of paying us back. We're filing charges first thing Monday. Charges? Lexi whimpers. Like, criminal charges? Fraud usually is criminal, yes. Lindsay turns to me. Unless someone wants to explain exactly where our money went. Everyone looks at me. For a moment, I see panic in Dad's eyes. The same look he gave me when he threatened me with the speech. Actually, I say, pulling out my phone. I have those records right here. Sadie, please, Mum whispers. We're family. Family? I laugh. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't threaten each other. Family doesn't destroy each other. Daniel's voice makes me turn. He's standing there looking exactly like he did 6 months ago when he left, saying he couldn't handle my toxic family dynamics anymore. What are you doing here? I manage. I saw the video. He holds up his phone. Someone's live streaming this whole thing. Ruby appears beside him, phone raised. Guilty, she says. Figure we might as well document everything. Turn that off. Dad lunges for her phone, but Tanner's associates step between them. I wouldn't, one says. We might need this footage later. Lexi starts crying again. This is all your fault, Sadie. You've ruined everything. No, Daniel says quietly. She just stopped enabling it. I look at him, really look at him, and see something I never expected. Pride. Mr. Perkins, I say, turning back to Tanner. I have complete records of every transaction, every loan, every lie, and I'm happy to share them all. You wouldn't? Mum gasps. We're your parents? No, I reply. You're criminals who happen to raise me, and I'm done covering for you. I send the files to Tanner and Lindsay, watch their faces as they scroll through years of fraud and manipulation. This is... Lindsay looks up at Lexi. You knew about this? I didn't... Lexi backs away. Daddy, tell them I didn't know. But Dad's already talking quietly with his creditors, trying to salvage what he can. Mum grabs my arm. How could you do this to us? The same way you did it to me, I say, pulling free. One calculated move at a time. I walk away as Tanner starts making calls, as Lindsay documents everything, as my family's carefully constructed facade crumbles in a country club parking lot. Daniel follows me. Can we talk? About what? How you were right about them. About how brave you are. He touches my shoulder. And how sorry I am for leaving instead of helping you see it sooner. My phone buzzes. Ruby sending me the livestream link. The view count is already in the thousands. There's no going back now, I say. Daniel squeezes my shoulder. Good. Because you need to go forward. Behind us, I hear Lexi wail. What am I supposed to do now? For the first time in my life, that's not my problem to solve. The next 48 hours pass in a blur of notifications and consequences. Ruby's live stream goes viral, spawning dozens of local news stories. My phone won't stop ringing with calls from relatives I haven't heard from in years. You've reached a new level of famous, Ruby says, scrolling through comments. People are calling you the revenge daughter on Twitter. We're sitting in her apartment, watching the fallout unfold. My parents' faces are plastered across local news sites, alongside headlines like, Family financial fraud exposed at daughter's promotion party. Have you seen this? Ruby turns her laptop toward me. Lexi's trying to spin it on Instagram, says she's the victim of family circumstances, and she's starting a podcast about surviving toxic siblings. I snort. Of course she is. My phone buzzes. Daniel again. We haven't finished our conversation from the parking lot. I silence it. You can't avoid him forever, Ruby says. Watch me. A sharp knock at the door makes us both jump. Ruby checks the security camera feed on her phone. It's your mum, she whispers. And she looks... rough. I open the door. Mum stands there in wrinkled clothes, something I've never seen before. Her perfect makeup is gone, replaced by dark circles under her eyes. Can I come in? I step aside. She enters, taking in Ruby's apartment like she's cataloguing escape routes. Your father's been arrested, she says without preamble. I know. It's all over the news. They're investigating me too. Her voice cracks. And now Lexi's being audited because of her connection to the promotion scheme. That sounds like a you problem. It's a family problem. She slams her hand on Ruby's coffee table. Everything we did was for this family. No, I say quietly. Everything you did was for appearances. For Lexi. For Dad's ego. Never for family. We gave you everything. You took everything. My savings, my credit, my chance at independence. We would have paid you back. When? After you finished paying Tanner? Or Maria? Or any of the other people you scammed? She deflates, sinking onto Ruby's couch. What do you want from me, Sadie? Nothing. Not anymore. Then why did you do this? To punish us? No. I sit across from her. I did it because someone had to stop the cycle. Someone had to tell the truth. The truth? She laughs bitterly. The truth is, you've destroyed us. Your father's facing prison. Lexi's reputation is ruined. Our friends won't even talk to me. You mean your victims won't talk to you? She stands abruptly. I didn't come here to fight. I came to warn you. Warn me about what? Your father. She wrings her hands. He's telling the prosecutors you were involved, that you knew about everything, helped with the accounts. Ruby steps forward. We have proof that's a lie. Do you? Those joint accounts had your name too, Sadie? Those loans you co-signed? They'll look into everything now. My stomach drops. He wouldn't. He already has. She heads for the door. You started this war. Don't be surprised when there's collateral damage. After she leaves, Ruby hugs me. She's bluffing. We have documentation proving you were a victim. My phone buzzes again. Daniel. This time I answer. Hey. I heard about your dad, he says. Are you okay? No. My voice shakes. But I will be. Meet me for coffee? I think I can help. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting across from him at our old favourite cafe. I work for the DA's office now, he says, sliding a business card across the table. White-collar crime division? I stare at the card. Is that why you came to the party? Someone sent us the live stream link. When I saw it was you, he leans forward. Sadie, we've been building a case against your father for months. Your evidence just gave us everything we needed. He's threatening to implicate me. Let him try. Daniel pulls out a folder. Remember all those texts you used to send me? About the weird financial stuff they made you sign? I kept them? All of them. For the first time in days, I feel tears coming. Why? Because I knew someday you'd be strong enough to fight back. I just had to wait. My phone chimes with a news alert. Local business owner indicted on multiple fraud charges. Daughter's viral exposure leads to arrest. It's really happening, I whisper. Daniel reaches across the table, takes my hand. You're not that scared little girl anymore, Sadie. You're the one they should be scared of now. And for the first time since this all began, I let myself smile. Because he's right. I'm not their victim anymore. I'm their reckoning. The courthouse is packed for Dad's arraignment. I sit in the back row with Ruby and Daniel, watching my father shuffle in wearing handcuffs, a sight that feels both surreal and inevitable. Gregory Hunter, the judge reads, you are charged with multiple counts of fraud, financial exploitation, and theft by deception. How do you plead? Dad's expensive lawyer steps forward. Not guilty, Your Honour. And would the prosecution like to make a statement? The prosecutor stands. Yes, Your Honour. We have extensive evidence of Mr. Hunter's schemes, including testimony from his daughter, Sadie. Objection, Dad's lawyer interrupts. Ms. Hunter was a willing participant in these transactions. We have documentation of her signatures. Obtained under duress, Daniel calls out, standing up. Your Honour, I'm Daniel Martinez from the DA's office. We have years of text messages proving Ms. Hunter was coerced. Order. The judge bangs her gavel. Mr. Martinez, are you on this case? No, Your Honour, but... Then sit down. I grab Daniel's hand, pulling him back to his seat. It's okay, I whisper. Let it play out. The bail hearing proceeds, with Dad's lawyer arguing for release. Then I hear something that makes my blood freeze. Furthermore, his lawyer says, my client's younger daughter, Lexi Hunter, has provided evidence that Sadie Hunter orchestrated this entire situation for personal gain. Ruby grabs my arm. She didn't. But there's Lexi, walking to the front of the courtroom in designer clothes that probably cost more than Dad's bail. She hands documents to the judge. These prove my sister's vendetta, she announces loudly. She was jealous of my success, so she set our parents up. That's a lie. I stand up before I can stop myself. The judge bangs her gavel again. One more outburst and I'll clear this courtroom. I sit, shaking with rage, as Lexi continues spinning her story. How I was always jealous, how I manipulated the family finances, how I staged the whole party revelation for social media fame. Your Honour, the prosecutor interjects, we have Ms. Hunter's bank records showing the unauthorised withdrawals. Which she approved, Lexi counters. Ask her boyfriend. He works for the DA, trying to help her frame our father. That's enough. The judge looks exhausted. Bail is set at $500,000. Next case. Outside the courtroom, Lexi struts past me. Calm as a bitch, sis. I grab her arm. What are you doing? Surviving. She yanks free. Like you taught me, by any means necessary. By lying? By playing the game. She smooths her dress. You exposed our secrets? Fine. I'll expose yours. Every time you complained about Mom and Dad to Daniel, that's witness tampering now. Every joint account you managed, that's conspiracy. You know that's not true. Truth is whatever people believe, Sadie. You taught me that too. She starts walking away, then turns back. Oh, and I'm keeping the apartment. Good luck finding somewhere to live with your credit score after all this. Ruby steps forward, but I hold her back. Don't. She's not worth it. She's trying to destroy you. No, Daniel says quietly. She's trying to save herself. Like always. My phone buzzes. A text from Mum. Come home. We need to talk. Don't go, Ruby warns, but I'm already heading for my car. Daniel follows. At least let me come with you? I need to do this alone. Sadie, I'll be fine. I manage a smile. I'm not that scared little girl anymore, remember? The house looks smaller somehow as I pull up. Mum opens the door before I knock. Your sister showed me what she gave the judge, she says, leading me to the kitchen. If you apologise now, publicly, maybe we can fix this. Fix what? The truth? Fix our family. She slams her hands on the counter. Your father could go to prison. Is that what you want? What I want? I laugh. I wanted parents who didn't steal from me, a sister who didn't betray me, a family that actually loved me instead of using me. We do love you. No. I head for the door. You love what I could do for you. There's a difference. If you walk out that door, she calls after me, you're no longer part of this family. I turn back one last time. Mum, I was never really part of this family. I was just the bank account you kept withdrawing from. Outside, the sun is setting. My phone shows missed calls from Daniel, texts from Ruby, and a new email from the DA's office requesting my formal testimony. I open the email, start typing, my name is Sadie Hunter, and this is the truth about my family. Because sometimes burning bridges isn't destruction, it's illumination. And I'm done living in the dark. The verdict comes down on a Tuesday morning. I sit in the courtroom, Ruby on one side, Daniel on the other, as the judge reads it out. On the charges of criminal fraud and financial exploitation, we find the defendant, Gregory Hunter, guilty. Dad slumps in his chair. Mum starts crying. Lexi isn't here. She's too busy doing damage control interviews about being the unwitting victim of family fraud. The defendant is sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, with restitution to be paid to all victims. As they lead Dad away, he looks back at me. For a moment, I see something I've never seen before in his eyes. Respect. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm us. Sadie, how does it feel to be the whistleblower who brought down your own family? Before I can answer, Mum pushes through the crowd. Haven't you done enough? She hisses. Your father's going to prison. Your sister's reputation is ruined. Are you happy now? Actually, I say clearly, making sure the cameras catch it, I am. Because for the first time in my life, the truth matters more than appearances. She recoils like I've slapped her. You're not my daughter anymore. No, I agree. I'm something much scarier. I'm a witness. Ruby pulls me away from the media frenzy toward her car. Come on, I have a surprise for you. She drives us to a small house in a quiet neighborhood. Daniel's car is already parked outside. What's going on? Remember that money your parents stole? Ruby grins. The court ordered full restitution, with interest. Daniel meets us at the door, holding keys. Plus, your testimony helped recover funds for other victims. There was a reward. I don't understand. The down payment you lost? Ruby takes the keys from Daniel. You just got it back, ×2. She hands me the keys. I stare at them, uncomprehending. This is yours, Daniel says softly, if you want it. I walk through the house in a daze. It's nothing like the mansion I grew up in. It's small, simple, real, like the truth. How did you arrange this? Remember Tanner Perkins? Ruby laughs. Turns out he's not just a creditor, he's a real estate developer. When he heard you were looking... My phone buzzes. A text from Lexi. Mum's declaring bankruptcy. Thanks for nothing. Then another. I got offered a reality show deal. Surviving Toxic Sisters or something. Hope you're ready to be the villain. I show the text to Ruby and Daniel. She'll never change, will she? Ruby sighs. No, I say, deleting the messages. But I have. Daniel touches my shoulder. You okay? Better than okay. I walk to the window, look out at my new front yard. I'm free. About that, he says hesitantly. I've been thinking... Don't. I turn to face him. You were right to leave before. We needed to break so I could fix myself. And now? Now? I smile. Now we can start over. As equals. If you want. He answers by kissing me. Ruby fake gags. Get a room? Actually, you have several now. My phone buzzes again. An email from the DA's office. Following your testimony, we're launching a wider investigation into similar family financial fraud cases. Would you be willing to consult? They want me to help other victims, I tell Ruby and Daniel. Use my experience to prevent what happened to me. Look at you, Ruby says proudly, turning pain into purpose. I walk through my new house, my house, bought with my truth, touching the walls, claiming each space. In the kitchen, I find a small package from Ruby. Inside is a familiar-looking toy, a replica of the one I gave Lexi all those years ago. The note reads, "This one's just for you. Keep it this time." I place it on the windowsill, a reminder that some things shouldn't be given away. Like dignity, like truth, like self-worth. Outside, the media vans are probably still hunting for their next soundbite. Mum's probably planning her next manipulation. Lexi's probably plotting her redemption arc. But in here, in this space I earned by finally speaking up, none of that matters. So, Ruby calls from the living room, what's first on the agenda for the new Sadie? I join my real family, my chosen family, in my new living room. First, I say, we make this place ours, then we help others find their voice. And your parents? Lexi? I look at the toy on the windowsill, catching sunlight. They taught me what family isn't, I say. Now, I get to learn what family is. Daniel squeezes my hand. Ruby starts planning a housewarming party, and I feel something I haven't felt in years. Peace. Because sometimes the happy ending isn't about forgiveness, sometimes it's about freedom, and I'm finally completely free.
The string quartet played Pachelbel's canon as I stood alone at the back of the grand ballroom, watching my sister float down the aisle like a princess in her designer gown. That dress alone cost more than my annual salary. Not that anyone knew I was the one who paid for it. I'm Greta, and this is the story of how my perfect little sister's dream wedding became my worst nightmare, and ultimately my sweetest revenge. Darling, you could at least pretend to smile, my mother Hope whispered, appearing beside me in her champagne-colored dress. And where's your +1? I thought you said you were bringing someone. Change of plans, I muttered, forcing a smile as Solstice reached the altar. Her soon-to-be husband Rowan beamed at her with adoration. completely oblivious to the family drama unfolding in the wings. Well, it's not too late, you know. Miguel, the wedding planner, is single, Mom stage whispered, nodding toward the sharply dressed man directing the photographers. And he's quite handsome. I rolled my eyes. Mom, please, can we focus on Solstice's big day? The ceremony proceeded like a fairy tale, exactly as Solstice had dreamed. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. White roses and orchids cascaded from every surface, and the guest list read like a who's who of local society. Perfect, 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 just like Solstice. During the reception, my best friend Camila grabbed my arm. You okay? You look like you're about to explode. I'm fine, I lied, watching Solstice work the room, just tired of deflecting questions about my relationship status. Ladies and gentlemen, the DJ's voice boomed through the speakers. It's time for the speeches. My stomach churned as Solstice took the microphone, champagne glass in hand. I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate with Rowan and me today, especially my family, Mom, Dad, and my big sister Greta. I raised my glass, praying she'd leave it at that. She didn't. You know, Greta's always been there for me, even if she's been a bit preoccupied with her career lately. Solstice's smile turned sharp. I mean, someone has to be the successful businesswoman of the family, right? Though I have to wonder if it's worth being married to your job instead of finding actual love. The room fell silent. I felt hundreds of eyes turned to me. But hey, at least she's got her spreadsheets to keep her warm at night. Solstice laughed, and a few uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the crowd. I just hope she doesn't end up alone forever. There's more to life than work, sis. My father Jonathan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Camilla's hand found mine under the table, squeezing tight. To love. Solstice raised her glass, her diamond ring catching the light. May we all be lucky enough to find it. Well, most of us anyway. The guests drank, but I couldn't move. The champagne in my glass trembled as my hand shook with rage. I can't believe she just did that, Camila whispered. After everything you've done for her? Everything I'd done. The secret meetings with Miguel to plan every detail. The maxed out credit cards. The drained savings account. All to give my baby sister the wedding of her dreams. And this was my thank you? Greta? Miguel appeared at my elbow, concern etched on his face. Are you all right? I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the marble floor. I need some air. As I headed for the terrace, I heard my mother's voice. Solstice, darling, that wasn't very kind. Oh, Mom, I was just teasing. Greta knows I love her. She's probably just jealous because she's missing out on all of this. Solstice's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. I mean, who wouldn't be? I pushed through the French doors onto the balcony, the cool evening air hitting my face. Behind me, the party continued. My sister's perfect day, funded by the very person she'd just humiliated in front of everyone who mattered. Camila followed me out. What are you going to do? I gripped the stone balustrade, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of revenge. You know what? I think it's time everyone learned who really made this fairy tale wedding possible. Are you sure? Camila asked, but I could see the gleam in her eye. She knew as well as I did. My sister had finally gone too far. Oh, I'm sure, I said, straightening my bridesmaid's dress. If Solstice wants to play princess, she should remember who's been bankrolling her happily ever after. 6 months earlier, I sat across from Miguel in a dimly lit coffee shop, spreading wedding magazines across the table. My sister's vision board lay between us, covered in pictures of luxury venues and designer dresses she couldn't possibly afford. Your sister has expensive taste, Miguel said diplomatically, tallying numbers on his iPad. The venue alone is nearly 6 figures. I sipped my now cold coffee. She's always had champagne tastes on a beer budget, but this time I'll make it happen. Why? Miguel's dark eyes studied me carefully. From what you've told me, she hasn't exactly been Sister of the Year. The bell above the cafe door chimed as my mother walked in, spotting us immediately. Perfect timing, as always. Greta, what a coincidence. She pulled up a chair uninvited. And you must be Miguel, the wedding planner. Solstice has told me so much about you. I bit back a laugh. Solstice had met Miguel exactly once, then pawned all the actual planning off on me because she was too busy with her social commitments. Mrs. Ellis, Miguel nodded professionally. We were just discussing the budget. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Oh, don't worry about that. Solstice's future in-laws are handling everything. Actually, Mom, I started, but she cut me off. You know, Miguel, Greta here is single and so successful in her career, she just made junior partner at her firm. Mom, I felt my face flush. We're here to discuss Solstice's wedding. I'm just saying, dear, you're not getting any younger. And my phone buzzed, saved by the bell. Sorry, work call. I need to take this. I escaped to the sidewalk outside, but there was no call. Just another credit card statement showing the deposits I'd already paid for Solstice's dream venue and the ridiculous designer dress she'd fallen in love with. Through the window, I could see Mom chattering away at Miguel, probably listing all my accomplishments while simultaneously lamenting my single status. The story of my life, successful enough to bankroll my sister's fantasy wedding, but somehow still a disappointment because I didn't have a ring on my finger. My phone buzzed again, for real this time. It was Camila. Please tell me you're not really paying for that entire wedding, she said without preamble. I watched a couple walk past the cafe, hand in hand. Someone has to. You know Solstice can't afford it, and Rowan's family isn't as wealthy as she's led everyone to believe. But why you? After everything she's done? Remember your college graduation? How could I forget? Solstice had thrown a tantrum because my party was stealing attention from her new boyfriend, so she deliberately caused a scene that ended with my cake on the floor and half the guests leaving early. It's complicated, I sighed. Mom and Dad always had to work so hard just to keep us afloat. Now that I can finally give them something, you're giving Solstice something, again, while she takes all the credit, again. Miguel emerged from the cafe, my mother thankfully nowhere in sight. He held up my abandoned coffee cup. Your mother is enthusiastic. That's one word for it. I took the cup. Did she try to set us up? Only 3 times in 5 minutes. He smiled. She also mentioned you're paying for the wedding yourself. I froze. She wasn't supposed to know that? She doesn't. She was bragging about how much money you make and how you could afford such a lavish wedding of your own if you just put yourself out there. He made air quotes. I connected the dots myself. Please don't tell Solstice, I said quickly. She thinks Rowan's family is covering everything. Miguel's expression softened. Your secret's safe with me, but can I ask why? Why do all this in secret? I stared into my cold coffee. Because for once, I want her to have exactly what she wants. No compromises, no settling, no reason to throw a fit and ruin someone else's moment. Maybe then she'll finally appreciate you. Maybe then she'll just be happy. I whispered. And stop trying to make everyone else miserable. Miguel touched my arm gently. You're a good sister, Greta. Better than she deserves. If only he knew how wrong he was. Because standing there, watching happy couples stroll by and thinking about all the times Solstice had undermined me, belittled me, or straight up sabotaged me, I wasn't planning this wedding out of pure sisterly love. I was buying the rope with which my sister would hang herself. Every crystal, every flower, every perfect detail would be a strand in the web of her own making, and when the moment was right, I would show everyone exactly who the better sister really was. I just didn't know then how spectacular that revelation would be. Back at the wedding reception, I found Camila in the powder room, touching up her lipstick. The bathroom's marble countertops probably cost more than my first car, another detail I'd splurged on for Solstice's perfect day. "So," Camila said, meeting my eyes in the mirror, "what's the plan?" "I'm thinking it's time for my maid of honor speech." I smoothed my dress, checking my makeup hadn't run after my near breakdown on the terrace. "You're not even the maid of honor. She chose her friend Ashley, remember? Even though you've done all the work." The bathroom door opened, and Miguel slipped in, looking slightly embarrassed to be in the ladies' room. "Sorry to intrude, but I thought you should know. Solstice is about to do the bouquet toss. She's specifically requesting your presence, Greta." I groaned. "Let me guess. Another opportunity to highlight my perpetual singlehood?" "She announced it as a special chance for my desperate sister to catch some luck," Miguel confirmed, wincing. Camila slammed her lipstick down. "That's it. I've watched her treat you like dirt for 20 years. You need to expose her right now." "Not yet," I said, a plan forming. "Miguel, I need a favor." 10 minutes later, I stood in the crowd of single women, watching Solstice prepare to throw her bouquet. She'd positioned me front and center, of course. "Ready, ladies?" Solstice called out. "Especially you, Greta. This might be your only chance." The crowd tittered. I smiled sweetly. "Throw it, sis. Show us how it's done." She turned her back, made a show of wiggling her hips, and tossed the bouquet high into the air. As planned, Miguel had dimmed the lights slightly, making it harder to see. The flowers sailed over my head, right into Camila's waiting hands. "Oh my God!" Camila squealed convincingly. "I caught it." Solstice spun around, her face falling when she saw I wasn't holding the bouquet. "Oh, well, congratulations, Camila." "Actually," Camila said loudly, "I think this belongs to the person who really deserves it." She walked over and handed the bouquet to Miguel. The room went quiet. Miguel, right on cue, turned to me. "Greta, I've been wanting to say something all day." My mother gasped audibly. Solstice's mouth dropped open. "Working with you these past months has been incredible," Miguel continued, his voice carrying across the now silent ballroom. "Your dedication, your kindness, your attention to detail, it's all been amazing." "Miguel," I said, playing my part perfectly, "this isn't the time." "No, it is the time." He stepped closer. "Everyone here should know just how remarkable you are. Would you have dinner with me next week?" The crowd erupted in cheers and whistles. My mother looked like she might faint from joy. And Solstice? Well, if looks could kill, Miguel and I would both be 6 feet under. "I'd love to," I replied, accepting the bouquet as cameras flashed around us. "This is my wedding." Solstice's voice cut through the excitement. "You can't just hijack it like this." "Hijack it?" I turned to face her, steel in my voice. "Like you've hijacked every important moment of my life? What are you talking about?" But her face had gone pale. My college graduation, my law school acceptance, my promotion party. Every single time I had something to celebrate, you found a way to make it about you. The words flowed out, years of resentment behind them. "But you know what? You're right. This is your day, and I've done everything in my power to make it perfect." "What do you mean you've done everything?" Rowan asked, appearing beside his new wife. Miguel stepped forward. "Should I tell them about all the planning meetings, the vendor negotiations, the countless hours Greta spent ensuring every detail was exactly what Solstice wanted?" "Shut up," Solstice hissed. "The planning was all me, and Rowan's family paid for everything." I pulled out my phone, opening my banking app. Want to see the receipts, little sister? Every deposit, every payment, every maxed out credit card? The color drained from her face. You're lying. The Swarovski crystal centerpieces you insisted on? Mine? The hand-painted French chocolates as favors? Mine? That designer dress you're wearing? All me. Rowan looked confused. But my parents, they said they were handling it. They handled the rehearsal dinner, I corrected. Everything else? That was your sister-in-law, the one you just publicly mocked for being too focused on her career. The silence in the ballroom was deafening. Somewhere in the back, a glass shattered, making everyone jump. Well, my father's quiet voice cut through the tension. I think it's time we all had a little family chat. Dad led us into a private room off the main ballroom, the same room where Solstice had gotten ready this morning. Her veil still lay draped over a chair, price tag conveniently removed. Another $3,000 I'd never see again. Sit, Dad commanded. For once, both Solstice and I obeyed without argument. Mom hovered by the door, wringing her hands. Jonathan, maybe we should wait. No, Hope, this ends now. Dad's voice was firm. Miguel, Rowan, would you give us a minute? Miguel squeezed my shoulder as he left. Rowan hesitated, looking at Solstice, but followed when she wouldn't meet his eyes. Now then, Dad said, settling into a chair across from us. Let's talk about what's really going on here. What's going on is that Greta's trying to ruin my wedding. Solstice burst out, tears threatening to spill. Just like she ruins everything. I laughed incredulously. I ruin everything? I paid for everything. Girls, Dad's sharp tone silenced us both. Solstice, is this true? Did your sister pay for the wedding? Solstice's lower lip trembled. I didn't ask her to. No, I agreed. You just complained to Mom about how Rowan's family couldn't afford the venue you wanted, and cried to Dad about the dress of your dreams being out of reach, and told everyone who would listen that you were settling for less than you deserved. I never meant for you to… To what? To step in? To fix it? Like I always do? I pulled out my phone again. Want to see the texts, Solstice? The ones where you sent me pictures of everything you wanted, followed by sad faces and if-only messages? Mom stepped forward. Greta, sweetheart, why didn't you tell us? Because she knew exactly what she was doing, Dad said quietly. Didn't you, Solstice? Solstice's tears finally spilled over. That's not fair. I just wanted a beautiful wedding. And I gave it to you. I stood up, my own tears threatening. I gave you everything you wanted, and how do you thank me? By humiliating me in front of everyone. You're just jealous because I found love and you haven't, Solstice shot back. Found love? I laughed bitterly. You found a man whose family you lied to about money. You manipulated everyone around you to get what you wanted. Is that love? Stop it, both of you, Mom cried. But Dad held up his hand. No, Hope, let them finish. This has been brewing for years. Remember my law school graduation? I asked, my voice shaking. When you announced your engagement during my party? That was different. Or when you crashed my first big court victory celebration to tell everyone you were pregnant. Even though you knew it wasn't true, you just wanted the attention. Solstice's face crumpled. I lost that baby. And I was there for you. I held you while you cried. I took time off work to help you recover. I wiped angry tears from my cheeks. But the minute I had something to celebrate, you had to tear me down again. I didn't mean to, Solstice whispered. Yes, you did. Dad's voice was gentle but firm. You've always meant to, Princess, and we let you. Mom sank into a chair. Jonathan, we failed both our girls, Hope. Dad looked between us. We let Solstice believe the world revolved around her, and we let Greta think she had to fix everything. A knock at the door interrupted us. Rowan poked his head in. Sorry, but the guests are asking questions. Should we start serving dinner? Yes, Solstice jumped up, smoothing her dress. We should get back to my wedding. Your wedding that your sister paid for, Dad reminded her. The wedding you're using to mock her. Solstice froze, her hand on the doorknob. For a moment I saw something flicker across her face. Shame, maybe? Regret? But then it was gone, replaced by the same entitled expression I'd known all my life. Fine, she said. You want everyone to know? Let's tell them. Let's tell them how my perfect sister swooped in to save the day, like always. Let's tell them how she's so much better than me, so much more successful, so much more responsible. Solstice, Mom pleaded. No, you're right. I stood up, straightening my spine. Let's tell them, all of it. Every manipulation, every lie, every cruel comment. Let's see what your new husband thinks about how you really got your dream wedding. Solstice's hand trembled on the doorknob. You wouldn't. I met her eyes steadily. Try me, little sister. Try me. The dining room buzzed with whispers as we returned to the reception. Solstice immediately plastered on her perfect bride smile, but I noticed Rowan watching her with new eyes. He'd heard enough through the door. I could tell. Miguel handed me a microphone. The floor is yours. Don't, Solstice hissed, grabbing my arm. Please. For a moment, I hesitated. Then I remembered her words from earlier. She's doomed to be alone forever. I tapped the microphone, and the room fell silent. Everyone, I'd like to make a toast to my sister. My voice was steady, surprising even me. You all know Solstice. She's always been the family princess, the one who deserved the very best. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Solstice's fingers dug deeper into my arm. What you might not know is just how far some people would go to give her that very best. I gently pulled free from her grip. Would you like to tell them, Solstice? Or should I? Greta, my mother warned from her table. For instance, this beautiful venue? I gestured around the room. These crystal chandeliers, the hand-painted place cards, the 5-tier cake, all paid for by your supposedly career-obsessed big sister. The whispers grew louder. I saw Rowan's mother lean forward, her eyes narrowing. You see, while Solstice was telling everyone that her in-laws were funding this extravaganza, I was quietly maxing out my credit cards. While she was mocking my dedication to my career, that same career was financing her dream wedding. That's enough. Solstice lunged for the microphone, but Miguel smoothly stepped between us. No, I don't think it is enough, I continued, because for years I've watched you tear me down to build yourself up. Every achievement I've earned, you've tried to overshadow. Every milestone I've reached, you've tried to steal. And I let you, because that's what good sisters do, right? Camila stood up, raising her glass. Tell them about the law school graduation, Greta. Or the promotion party, Miguel added. Or my grandson's christening, Rowan's mother suddenly spoke up, when she announced her engagement during the ceremony. Solstice's perfect mask cracked. I didn't. But here's the thing, Solstice. I turned to face her directly. I didn't pay for this wedding to hurt you. I did it because, despite everything, you're my sister. I wanted you to have your perfect day. All I asked was for you to let me have this one thing, my dignity. Tears streaked her makeup. I'm sorry, she whispered. Are you? Are you really? I asked. Or are you just sorry everyone knows the truth now? I didn't know. Rowan stood up, his voice tight. Solstice, you told me my parents were paying. You let me believe. I can explain, she pleaded. Explain what? Rowan's mother demanded. How you lied to my son? How you manipulated your own sister? The room erupted in overlapping voices. I saw my father put his head in his hands, my mother dabbing at her eyes with a napkin. "Stop!" Solstice screamed, her voice cracking. "Just stop! Fine, I'm horrible. I'm manipulative. I'm jealous of my perfect sister who has everything I don't." "Everything you don't?" I laughed incredulously. "You have a man who loves you, a family who adores you, and a wedding that cost more than my car. What could you possibly be jealous of?" "Your confidence," she shot back. "Your success. The way you never seem to need anyone's approval. Do you know what it's like living in the shadow of someone who seems to do everything right?" The room fell silent. "Shadow?" I whispered. "You think you lived in my shadow?" "Solstice, everything I've ever done, you found a way to diminish. Every time I succeeded, you made sure everyone focused on what I was missing instead. Do you know how many times Mom has asked me why I can't be more like you? More feminine, more social, more focused on finding a husband?" Solstice faltered. "But you know what?" I placed the microphone on a nearby table. "This isn't about winning anymore. This is about truth. And the truth is, I'm done competing. I'm done trying to earn your respect or approval. I'm just done." I turned to leave, but Miguel caught my hand. "Stay," he said softly. "Don't let her drive you away again." The room held its breath. In that moment, I saw every face turn toward us, some sympathetic, some shocked, some angry. But for the first time in my life, I didn't care what any of them thought. "No," I said clearly. "I think it's time for the bride to enjoy her perfect wedding. After all, she's got everything she wanted. Right, Solstice?" I made it halfway across the parking lot before I heard footsteps behind me. "Greta, wait!" It was Rowan. I turned to face my new brother-in-law, his bow tie askew and his face flushed. "You can't leave like this." "Watch me." "Please," he caught up to me, slightly out of breath. "Everything's falling apart in there. Solstice is hysterical. My mother is threatening to annul the marriage, and your parents are arguing about who's to blame for all this." Sounds like a typical family gathering to me. I dug through my clutch for my car keys. "She told me everything," Rowan said quietly, "after you left. About the money, about the lies, about all of it." I froze. And? And I don't know what to think anymore. The woman I married today, I'm not sure I know who she is. "Sure you do." I turned to face him fully. "She's the girl who always gets what she wants, no matter who she has to step on to get it. The girl who can cry on command and make everyone forget what she did wrong. The girl who's terrified of not being enough." Another voice cut in. My father emerged from the shadows, hands in his pockets. "Who learned early on that if she couldn't be the best, she could at least be the most memorable. Dad, don't defend her. Not now." "I'm not defending her," he said, moving closer. "I'm trying to understand her, to understand both of you. Where did we go so wrong?" Rowan shifted uncomfortably. "I should go back inside." "No, stay," Dad said. "You're family now, for better or worse, and families face their problems together." "That's rich," I laughed bitterly. Where was this family unity all the time Solstice was sabotaging my life? Right here, failing miserably. Dad's voice cracked. "Every time we let her behavior slide, every time we told you to be the bigger person, we failed you both." The night air felt heavy with unspoken words. In the distance, I could hear music still playing from the reception, life going on as if my world hadn't just imploded. "She's asking for you," Rowan said softly. "Says she needs to tell you something. I've heard enough from her to last a lifetime." "Greta," Dad stepped closer. "Remember when you were 10 and Solstice cut up your favorite dress? Because I got better grades than her? How could I forget?" "No," he shook his head. Because she wanted to fix it, make it prettier like the dresses in her magazines. She just didn't know how. What's your point? My point is, your sister doesn't know how to love without destroying things first. That's our fault, not hers. We taught her that attention equals love, and that being the best means making others feel worse. The reception doors opened again, spilling light across the parking lot. Solstice stood there, her perfect wedding dress now wrinkled, her makeup streaked with tears. "Daddy?" Her voice wavered. Is Greta still here?" "I'm here," I called out, surprising myself. Solstice stumbled forward in her heels, nearly falling. Rowan moved to help her, but she waved him off. "I messed up," she said, her voice raw. "I messed up so bad, and I don't know how to fix it." "You can't fix it," I replied. "You can't just say sorry and make everything okay this time." "I know." She wrapped her arms around herself. "But I need you to know something. All those times I tried to ruin your moments, it wasn't because I hated you. It was because I wanted to be you." "What?" "You're so sure of yourself, so capable. Mom and Dad were always so proud of your achievements, and I just wanted them to look at me that way too." "They did look at you that way," I exploded. "They still do. You're their precious princess who can do no wrong." "No," Dad interrupted. "We babied her. There's a difference. We praised you for your accomplishments, Greta, but we praised Solstice just for existing. We didn't do either of you any favors." Solstice took another step forward. "The wedding? I never meant for you to pay for it. I just couldn't stand the thought of having less than you would have had." "I'm not even engaged. But when you do get married, it'll be perfect, like everything else you do." She wiped her eyes. "I wanted to beat you to it, to have something first, something better." The silence that followed was deafening. In that moment, standing in a dark parking lot with my crying sister, my confused brother-in-law, and my guilt-ridden father, I realized something important. This wasn't about winning anymore. It wasn't even about revenge. It was about breaking a cycle that had started long before any of us knew what we were doing. "We should go back inside," Dad said, breaking the tense silence. "Your mother's probably convinced we've all killed each other by now." "I can't," Solstice whispered. "Everyone in there knows what I did, what I am." "They know you're human," Rowan said quietly. "Just like the rest of us." Miguel appeared at the door, his silhouette backlit by the reception lights. "Sorry to interrupt, but Mrs. Bailey, Rowan's mother, is threatening to make a scene if we don't start serving dinner soon." "Of course she is," Solstice laughed weakly. "Can't even get my public humiliation right." "Hey," I found myself saying, "nobody's getting humiliated tonight. Not anymore." "What do you mean?" Solstice looked up. Mascara streaked across her cheeks. "I mean, we're going to fix this, together." I turned to Miguel. "Still got that emergency kit in your car?" 10 minutes later, Solstice sat in Miguel's passenger seat while I fixed her makeup. Dad and Rowan had gone back inside to calm the waters. "I don't deserve this," she mumbled as I blended foundation over her tear tracks. "Probably not," I agreed. "But we're sisters. It's complicated." "Why did you really pay for the wedding?" she asked suddenly. The truth this time, I paused, makeup sponge in hand, because I wanted to prove I could, to prove that being career-focused and single didn't make me less capable of understanding romance and beauty and all the things you always said I was missing. "That's messed up," she said. "Yeah, well, so are we." I finished her makeup and stepped back. "There, now you look like a bride again." "Greta," her voice was small, "remember when we were kids and I used to sneak into your room during thunderstorms? Because you were scared of lightning?" "Yeah." "I wasn't scared." She met my eyes in the mirror. I just wanted to be close to you. You always made everything feel safe. My throat tightened until you decided being close to me wasn't enough anymore. I never decided that, she protested. It just happened. The more everyone praised you, the more I felt like I had to be different, better, more. And the more you tried to tear me down to build yourself up, I finished. I'm sorry. She grabbed my hand. I know it's not enough, but I am. And not just because I got caught. Miguel knocked on the window. Ladies, Rowan's got everyone seated for dinner. He's telling them there was a small family matter that needed addressing. I helped Solstice out of the car, her wedding dress rustling. Ready to face the music? No, she admitted, but I don't have a choice, do I? There's always a choice, I said. You can go in there and pretend nothing happened, play the perfect bride like always, or you can be real for once. Let people see you're human. Let them see you're trying to be better. She gripped my arm. Will you help me? With what? Being better, being real. Her fingers trembled. Being your sister again. Inside, the reception had settled into an uneasy calm. Heads turned as we entered, whispers following in our wake. But this time, Solstice didn't pose or preen. She walked straight to the head table, picked up a microphone, and faced her guests. I owe everyone an apology, she began, her voice shaking. Especially my sister. Mom half rose from her seat, but Dad gently pulled her back down. I've spent years trying to be perfect, Solstice continued, trying to be better than everyone else, especially Greta. But the truth is, I've never been better than her, not where it counts. The room was silent now, all eyes on my sister as she finally told the truth. This beautiful wedding, every detail you've admired, that was Greta. She paid for it, planned it, made it perfect, not for her glory, but for mine. And how did I thank her? By mocking her in front of all of you. She turned to face me. I can't undo what I've done, but I can try to be worthy of having a sister like you, if you'll let me try. The microphone trembled in her hand. The silence stretched, everyone waiting for my response. And for the first time in years, I saw my little sister, really saw her. Not the manipulative princess, not the attention-seeking drama queen, but the girl who used to crawl into my bed during storms, seeking safety in her big sister's presence. I stood up. Well, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, I guess we have some work to do. The rest of the wedding reception transformed into something unexpected, real. The perfect facade cracked, letting authenticity shine through. Solstice kicked off her uncomfortable designer heels. Rowan loosened his bow tie, and somehow the celebration felt more genuine than before. Dance with me, Miguel said, appearing at my elbow with 2 glasses of champagne. Unless you're still planning your dramatic exit. I accepted the glass. I think I've had enough drama for one night. As we swayed to the music, I watched Solstice and Rowan talking quietly with his parents in the corner. Whatever they were saying, it seemed intense but not angry. Progress, maybe. You know, Miguel said, when you hired me for this wedding, I thought you were crazy. Spending all that money on someone who treated you so badly? I was crazy, I admitted, but maybe not for the reasons you think. Oh? I thought I could buy her love, or at least her respect. I shook my head. Turns out those things aren't for sale. No, he agreed, but sometimes they're free if you're brave enough to be honest. Across the room, Camilla was teaching my father some ridiculous dance move, making my mother laugh for the first time all evening. The tension that had suffocated the reception earlier had dissipated, replaced by something more genuine. Greta? Solstice approached, looking uncertain. Can we talk? Miguel squeezed my hand and stepped away. I followed my sister to a quiet corner. Rowan's parents want to help pay for the wedding, she said. They said it's not fair for you to shoulder everything alone. It's already paid for. I know, but… She twisted her rings nervously. They want to reimburse you, and I want to contribute too, from my savings. Solstice? Please, she cut me off. Let me do this. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because it's right. I studied her face, searching for the manipulation I'd grown so accustomed to seeing. Instead, I found something new. Sincerity. Okay, I said simply. She blinked. Okay, just like that? Just like that. But I thought, after everything. Look, I set down my champagne glass. We can't undo the past. We can't pretend those years of competition and hurt didn't happen. But maybe we can build something new, something real. I'd like that, she whispered. Then, unexpectedly, she hugged me. Not her usual performative embrace, but a real tight hug, like when we were kids. Besides, I added when she pulled back, I hear Miguel's a pretty good wedding planner. Maybe he can help me plan my own someday. About that, Solstice smiled sheepishly. I may have been a little hasty in judging your love life. He seems pretty great. He is, I agreed. But this isn't about him or Rowan or finding the perfect partner. It's about being okay with who we are right now. When did you get so wise? She teased, but her eyes were serious. Probably around the same time you got honest. The DJ announced the last dance of the night. Rowan appeared, holding out his hand to Solstice. May I have this dance, Mrs. Bailey? She took his hand, then surprised us both by grabbing mine too. Only if my sister joins us. And so we danced, the bride, the groom, and the sister who paid for it all. Not perfectly choreographed like Solstice had originally planned, but real and a little messy, and somehow better for it. As the night wound down, guests filing out with tired smiles, Solstice caught my arm one last time. Thank you, she said, not for the money or the planning or any of that. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. That's what sisters do, I replied. The real ones anyway. Mom and Dad joined us, both looking exhausted but happy. Well, Dad said, this wasn't quite the wedding we expected. No, I agreed, watching Miguel pack up the last of his planning materials. It was better. Because it was honest, Solstice added, surprising us all. Mom wiped away a tear. My girls, both of you. I'm sorry we didn't see what was happening all these years. We see it now, Dad said firmly, and that's what matters. As I drove home that night, Miguel following in his car, we did have that dinner date to plan after all, I realized something. The perfect wedding I'd helped create hadn't been the gift Solstice needed. The truth had been. And maybe, just maybe, it had been the gift I needed too. Because sometimes the most beautiful things aren't perfect at all. They're real and messy and honest, just like sisters should be.
The message from my mother arrived on a night just like the one I was born, during a lunar eclipse. 32 years ago, that cosmic event branded me as cursed. Tonight, it felt like karma coming full circle. I'm Lauren, and I learned early that being born under a blood moon could turn your own family against you. My phone screen glowed with the text, "We need to talk. The whole family. It's important." My hands trembled as I set down my coffee mug in my office's break room. Evelyn, my best friend since college, noticed immediately. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said, pulling up a chair beside me. "Worse, I heard from my mother." Evelyn's eyes widened. She knew everything. The years of being blamed for every family misfortune, the separate plates they made me eat from, the way they'd cross themselves when I entered a room. "What does Bridget want after all this time?" Evelyn asked, her voice tight with protective anger. I showed her the text. "Notice how she doesn't even say hello or how are you? Classic Bridget. You're not actually considering going, are you?" Before I could answer, Adrian knocked on the break room door. Lauren, the investors are ready for you in the conference room. Be right there, I called out, then turned back to Evelyn. Remember when my mother told me I'd never amount to anything because the eclipse marked me? That I should be grateful if I could even hold down a job as a waitress? Evelyn nodded, her jaw clenching. Well, I'm about to close a deal that'll make this company worth 9 figures. Some curse, huh? Lauren, Evelyn grabbed my hand. You don't owe them anything. I know. I stood up, straightening my blazer. But maybe it's time they learned exactly what their cursed daughter became. The investment meeting went perfectly, but my mother's message haunted me throughout. That evening, I sat in my penthouse apartment, staring at old family photos I kept hidden in a drawer. There was Blair, my younger sister, always in the center, always wearing the best clothes. Zion, my older brother, deliberately standing apart from me in every shot. And my parents, Bridget and Leo, their faces tight with worry whenever I was nearby. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Blair. Mom told me she messaged you. Please come. Things aren't good. I poured myself a glass of wine and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The partial eclipse was visible now, the moon slowly disappearing into shadow. I thought about the last time I saw them, 10 years ago, when I left home with nothing but a backpack and determination. You'll come crawling back, Leo had shouted after me. No one will ever hire you. No one will ever trust you. The eclipse marked you. Another message buzzed through. Lauren, it's Mom. We're meeting Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Grove restaurant. Please come. We need you. I laughed darkly at those last 3 words. Now they needed me. After years of treating me like I was radioactive, I called Evelyn. They want to meet at the Grove, I said when she answered. The restaurant you own? Evelyn asked, surprise evident in her voice. The very one. They don't know I own it, of course. They probably chose it because it's the most expensive place in town, thinking they'd burden me with the bill. Oh, this is too perfect, Evelyn chuckled. What are you going to do? I watched my reflection in the window, superimposed over the darkening moon. I'm going to give them exactly what they want, a chance to see what their cursed daughter became. But first, I need to make some arrangements. You're plotting something, Evelyn said, knowing me too well. Let's just say Saturday night will be an eclipse they'll never forget. I took another sip of wine. Call Adrian. We're going to need his help with this. After hanging up, I finally replied to my mother's text, I'll be there. The response was immediate. Thank you, Lauren. We have so much to discuss. I bet we do, I thought, watching the last sliver of moon disappear into darkness. They wanted to see me? Fine. But this time, I'd be the one controlling the shadow show. My phone lit up one final time, Adrian confirming he was on board with my plan. Perfect. Saturday night wouldn't just be a family reunion, it would be a reckoning. I raised my glass to the darkened moon, making a toast to the cosmic irony of it all. They'd spent my whole life treating me like a curse. Now they'd learn that their real mistake wasn't in believing in bad luck. It was in creating their own. The Grove's private dining room felt smaller than I remembered, despite being the one who designed it. My family filtered in one by one, their expressions a mix of desperation and forced smiles. I'd arrived early, choosing a seat that faced the door, wanting to watch their entrance like the performance it was sure to be. Bridget came first, her silver hair perfectly coiffed but her designer bag noticeably worn. Lauren, darling. She moved to hug me, but I remained seated, forcing her to awkwardly pat my shoulder instead. Mother, I said coolly, noting how her lipstick slightly trembled. Leo followed, looking older than his 59 years. His once proud stance now stooped with what I assumed were the weights of his poor financial decisions. Blair slipped in behind him, beautiful as ever but with dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. Zion arrived last, checking his phone constantly, as if he had somewhere more important to be. Well, Bridget clapped her hands together. Isn't this lovely? All of us together again. Let's skip the pretense, I said, watching the waiter I'd specially selected pour water into their glasses. Why are we here? Blair shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Lauren, can't we just catch up first? It's been 10 years. 9 years, 8 months, and 13 days, I corrected. But who's counting? Leo cleared his throat. You look successful, Lauren. Surprised, Dad? Now, Lauren, Bridget interjected. We know we've had our differences, but family is family. We've been thinking about you so much lately. Thinking about me, or thinking about what I might be able to do for you? The waiter returned, distributing menus. I noticed how their eyes widened at the prices, exactly as I'd predicted. Order whatever you'd like, I said sweetly. I'm quite familiar with the menu. Zion finally looked up from his phone. Right, you work in restaurants or something now? Or something, I smiled, taking a sip of water. Bridget leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. That's actually part of what we wanted to discuss, dear. We've heard you've done quite well for yourself. Define quite well, I said, watching their faces. Well enough to perhaps help family in need? Leo's voice cracked slightly. There it was. I sat back, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. Blair broke first. Dad's business is failing. The house is being foreclosed. They're living with me right now, but I can barely afford my own place, and Zion's startup went bust, Zion finished, his face flushing. We're all kind of struggling. And you thought of me? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. The cursed child? The one who would bring nothing but bad luck? We were wrong. Bridget reached for my hand across the table. I pulled back before she could touch me. We were so wrong, Lauren. About everything. Wrong about what exactly? About making me eat in the kitchen while everyone else had dinner at the table? About refusing to attend my high school graduation because it fell on a full moon? About telling every potential friend that I was marked by evil? Leo's face darkened. We were trying to protect the family. You were protecting yourselves from your own daughter. My voice rose slightly, causing heads to turn at nearby tables. I took a deep breath, regaining composure. Please. Bridget's eyes welled with tears. We need help. We're family. I stood up slowly, smoothing my dress. You know what? You're right. We are family, and family should know everything about each other. So before we discuss any kind of assistance, I think we should have another meeting. Tomorrow night, same time. But Lauren, Blair started. Tomorrow night, I repeated firmly. I'll text you the address, and then you'll learn exactly what your cursed daughter has been up to these past 10 years. We'll be there, Bridget said quickly, hope flickering in her eyes. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and don't worry about the bill tonight. It's been taken care of. As I left, I heard Zion ask, how can she afford this place? I smiled, pulling out my phone to text Adrian. They took the bait. Tomorrow night, we show them everything. His response came quickly. The presentation is ready. They won't know what hit them. Walking to my car, I looked up at the night sky. The moon was full now, no eclipse in sight. Tomorrow, I'd show them that the only real curse in our family was their own blindness. And unlike an eclipse, this revelation wouldn't be temporary. Are you sure you want to show them everything? Evelyn asked, helping me set up the conference room for the evening's revelation. Once you do this, there's no going back. I adjusted the projector screen, making sure it was perfectly centered. They need to see what their cursed daughter built while they were busy avoiding my shadow. Adrian walked in carrying a stack of folders. Financial reports are ready. 10 years of growth, all documented, from your first food truck to your current restaurant empire. The memory of that first food truck made me smile. Remember how we started, Evelyn? $200 in my pocket and your grandmother's recipe book. And now look at you. She gestured around the sleek corporate headquarters. 15 restaurants across 3 states, and the Grove franchise about to go national. Adrian began placing the folders at each seat around the conference table. Don't forget the cooking show deal that's being finalized next week. My phone buzzed, a text from Blair. Where exactly is this place? It looks intense. I sent her the lobby code, then turned to Adrian. Show me the presentation one more time. He dimmed the lights and started the slideshow. The first image appeared, me at 22, standing proudly beside my food truck, Lucky Moon Cuisine painted on its side in bold letters. The irony of the name still gets me. Evelyn chuckled. The presentation continued. Newspaper clippings of my first restaurant opening, magazine features about the youngest restaurateur in the city's history, photos of celebrity clients, revenue charts showing exponential growth. Stop there, I said, pointing to a particular slide. Make sure this one stays up longer than the others. I want them to really see those numbers. Adrian nodded, making the adjustment. They're going to be shocked when they realize you could buy their foreclosed house 10 times over without blinking. The security desk called up. My family had arrived. I straightened my blazer and took a deep breath. "Places everyone," I said. "It's showtime." Their faces as they entered the conference room were priceless. Bridget's mouth fell open at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Leo's eyes darted around, probably calculating the cost of everything he saw. Zion looked like he'd swallowed something sour. Only Blair seemed genuinely impressed. "Lauren, what is this place?" "This," I gestured around, "is my office. Please take a seat." They sat down awkwardly, looking out of place among the pristine modern furniture and state-of-the-art technology. "Before we discuss any financial arrangements," I said, standing at the head of the table, "I want to show you exactly what I've been doing since I left home." Adrian dimmed the lights again and started the presentation. The food truck photo appeared, and I heard Bridget gasp. "You ran a food truck?" Leo's voice dripped with disdain. "I owned a food truck," I corrected him. "The first of many businesses." The slides continued. With each image, each headline, each growth chart, their expressions shifted from confusion to disbelief to dawning realization. When the Grove franchise slide appeared, Zion stood up so quickly his chair rolled backward. "Wait, you own the Grove? Where we ate yesterday?" "I own all 15 Groves," I said calmly, along with several other restaurant concepts across the country. Bridget's hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. "But how? You were supposed to be..." "Cursed," I finished for her. "Unlucky, a burden on the family." I walked around the table slowly. Turns out the only curse was the one you created with your own superstitions and cruelty. Adrian advanced to the final slides. My net worth, property holdings, and future projections. The numbers were impossible to ignore. Leo's face had gone pale. All this time, I confirmed. While you were warning people away from me, I was building an empire. While you were ashamed of your cursed daughter, I was being featured in Forbes. While you were living in fear of my bad luck, I was creating my own fortune." Blair started crying softly. "Lauren, I'm so sorry. We were so wrong." "Yes, you were," I said, turning the lights back on. "And now you've come asking for money from the very daughter you threw away." "We didn't throw you away," Bridget protested weakly. "Really?" I opened one of Adrian's folders and pulled out a photo. "This is from my college graduation. Notice how none of you are in it? Or this one from my first restaurant opening? Or my 30th birthday?" The silence in the room was deafening. "So," I closed the folder with a sharp snap, "now that you know exactly who you're asking for help, let's talk about what you really came here for." I sat down at the head of the table, feeling the weight of a decade of success behind me. "Tell me, what makes you think you deserve a single penny of your cursed daughter's fortune?" The silence stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Bridget dabbed at her eyes with a tissue while Leo stared at his hands. Zion kept glancing between the presentation screen and me, as if trying to solve a complex equation. Blair broke the tension first. "We don't deserve anything from you, Lauren. What we did, what we allowed to happen, it was wrong." "Blair," Bridget hissed. "No, Mom." Blair's voice cracked. "I've carried this guilt for years. Do you know what it was like watching you isolate my sister, making her eat alone, telling my friends she was dangerous?" I hadn't expected this from Blair. She'd always been the golden child, the safe one, the lucky one. "You were just a child," Leo started to say. "I was old enough to know it was wrong," Blair shot back, "and I did nothing. I just watched and stayed quiet because I was scared you'd turn on me too." Adrian cleared his throat. "Should I give you all a moment?" "No," I said firmly. "Stay. You and Evelyn are my real family now. You've earned your places at this table." Zion finally found his voice. "So that's it? You brought us here just to rub your success in our faces?" "Actually," I pressed a button on the remote, bringing up new slides. "I brought you here to show you exactly what you're asking for." The screen displayed their financial records: Leo's failed business ventures, Bridget's maxed out credit cards, their mortgage defaults, and Zion's bankrupted startup. "How did you get these?" Leo demanded, face reddening. "I had my team do their due diligence before this meeting. You owe nearly $2 million collectively. The house goes to auction next month. Zion's creditors are getting impatient, and Mom's secret gambling habit isn't so secret anymore." Bridget gasped. That's private. Nothing's private when you come asking for money, I replied coolly. Did you really think I wouldn't investigate before this meeting? You had no right. Leo stood up, trying to summon his old authority. I had every right, just like you had every right to treat me like a pariah for 32 years. Sit down, Dad. To everyone's surprise, he did. Here's what's going to happen, I continued, sliding folders across the table. Inside each of these is a proposal, different for each of you, based on what you actually need, not what you want. They opened the folders cautiously, like they might contain snakes. Blair, yours is a small business loan with reasonable terms. Your art gallery idea isn't bad, but you need proper funding and mentorship. Blair looked up, shocked. You knew about that? I know everything. Zion, yours is a job offer. Your coding skills are solid, but you're a terrible businessman. My tech division needs programmers. You'd hire me? Zion's voice was small. I'd give you a chance to earn your way, which is more than you ever gave me. I turned to my parents. And you two, you get a choice. Option 1, I buy the house at auction, you continue living there, paying rent at market rate, no special treatment. Option 2, I help you find and finance a smaller place, something you can actually afford on Dad's pension. You do this after everything? Bridget whispered. Not for free, I said firmly. Each of these offers comes with conditions. First, you attend family counseling, separately and together. Second, you acknowledge publicly how you treated me, including to our extended family who believed all your superstitious nonsense. That's blackmail, Leo protested weakly. No, that's accountability. Third condition, these offers are one-time only. You mess up, miss payments, skip therapy, break the contracts, it's over. Forever. Evelyn placed a supportive hand on my shoulder as I stood up. You have 24 hours to decide. The contracts are with my lawyers. Oh, and one more thing. I walked to the door, then turned back. That lunar eclipse you blamed for cursing me? It's actually considered a symbol of revelation, when hidden truths come to light. Funny how that worked out, isn't it? I left them sitting there, staring at their folders, their futures, their failures. Adrian and Evelyn followed me out. That was intense, Adrian said once we were in my office. Think they'll take the deals? Evelyn asked. I looked out at the city lights, remembering all the nights I'd spent alone, believing I was cursed, worthless, unlucky. They'll take them. They don't have a choice. And are you ready for what comes next? Evelyn's question hung in the air. You mean, am I ready to have them in my life again, under my terms? I turned to face my true family, the friends who'd stood by me when blood relatives wouldn't. I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing it for me. Sometimes the best revenge isn't cutting people off. It's showing them exactly what they missed out on, one day at a time. Through the conference room windows, I could see them still sitting there, reading through their folders, their faces painted with the harsh light of consequence. The next morning, Blair showed up at my office unannounced. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and she clutched her proposal folder like a lifeline. Your assistant wouldn't let me in without an appointment, she said, hovering in my doorway. I told her I'm your sister, but being my sister doesn't mean automatic access anymore, I finished, gesturing for her to sit. What do you want, Blair? She sank into the chair across from my desk. I stayed up all night reading this proposal. It's more than generous. It's business, I corrected her. Nothing more. Mom and Dad stayed up fighting about it, she continued. Dad wants to reject it, says it's humiliating. Mom's desperate to accept. Zion's already signed his contract. That surprised me. He has dropped it off at your lawyer's office first thing this morning. Said something about being tired of failing on his own. I leaned back in my chair, studying my sister's face. The perfect daughter now looked haunted, worn. What about you? I asked. Have you decided? Blair pulled out the contract, already signed. I have questions first. Real ones, not excuses like Mom and Dad are making. Go ahead. Why did you include a clause about me teaching art to underprivileged kids? Because you're talented, Blair, and because those kids need someone who understands what it's like to watch others get all the chances. She flinched. I deserved that. Yes, you did. Lauren, Blair's voice cracked. Last night, after everyone left, I went through my old diaries. Every time I wrote about you, it was always with this mixture of guilt and relief. Relief that they focused their superstitions on you instead of me. Touching, I said dryly. No, let me finish. She straightened up. I was a coward. I watched them destroy your childhood because I was grateful it wasn't mine they were destroying. But you know what the crazy thing is? You're the only one of us who actually made something of yourself. My office door opened and Evelyn walked in, stopping short when she saw Blair. Sorry, she said. Didn't know you had company. It's fine. I waved her in. Blair was just leaving. Actually, Blair stood up. I wanted to say one more thing. I know you're doing all this to prove a point, to show them they were wrong, but I think you're also doing it because somewhere deep down, you still care what happens to us. You're wrong, I said flatly. Am I? You could have just told us no. Instead, you created customized proposals that actually give us chances to improve our lives. That's not revenge, Lauren. That's responsibility. Something Mom and Dad never showed us. Evelyn moved to stand beside my desk, her presence a silent support. The contracts need to be signed by 7 tonight, I reminded Blair. All or nothing. If Mom and Dad don't agree, all deals are void. I know. Blair headed for the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Not because I need your money, but because I failed as your sister. I hope someday you can forgive me. After she left, Evelyn perched on my desk. She's right, you know. You could have just shut them down. Don't you start, I warned. My phone buzzed, a text from Adrian. Zion just showed up at IT for orientation. He actually seems eager to prove himself. Another message came through, this one from my lawyer. Your mother and father are here. They want to discuss terms. Well, Evelyn said, reading over my shoulder, looks like they're all falling in line. They're desperate, I replied. Desperate people will agree to anything. Maybe. Or maybe they're finally realizing what they lost was worth more than what they're gaining. I stood up, gathering my things. I need to get to the lawyer's office. Want to watch my parents squirm? Lauren, Evelyn caught my arm. Just be careful. Not of them, of yourself. Revenge can become its own kind of curse. This isn't revenge, I said, echoing Blair's words. It's responsibility. They taught me I was cursed, but I learned I was capable. Now it's time they learned the same lesson. As we rode the elevator down, I thought about Blair's words. Was I doing this because I cared? Or was I simply proving that their curse had backfired, turning their supposed bad luck charm into their only chance at salvation? Either way, I was about to watch my parents sign away their pride in exchange for security. And somewhere in the universe, I imagined that blood moon I was born under was laughing at the irony of it all. The law office felt too small for all the history crammed inside it. My parents sat across the conference table, looking like deflated versions of the people who once towered over my childhood. Bridget's hands shook as she reached for the contract. Leo stared at the table, his jaw clenched. Before you sign, I said, let's be clear about what this means. You'll keep the house, but it's my house. You'll live there, but under my terms. One missed payment, one broken rule, and you're out. We understand, Bridget whispered. Do you? I leaned forward. Because this isn't just about money. You'll attend therapy twice a week. You'll write formal apologies to every family member you warned about my curse. You'll volunteer at the community center where other parents learn not to abuse their children with superstitious nonsense. Leo's head snapped up. We never abused. Making a child eat alone for 16 years isn't abuse? My voice could have frozen fire. Telling her she can't attend her grandmother's funeral because it might curse the ceremony isn't abuse? Try saying that in therapy, Dad. See how it goes. The lawyer, Ms. Parker, cleared her throat. Shall we proceed with the signatures? Bridget picked up the pen, but Leo grabbed her wrist. Wait, I need to know something first. He finally met my eyes. Why are you really doing this, Lauren? Because I can, I replied coldly. No, he shook his head. You could destroy us completely. Instead, you're offering a chance, with conditions that seem designed to fix things. Why? Maybe I want you to live with the daily reminder that your cursed daughter owns everything you have. Maybe I want you to feel what I felt, dependent on someone else's mercy. Bridget started crying softly. We were wrong, Lauren. So terribly wrong. Save it for therapy, I cut her off. Sign or don't sign, I have a business to run. They signed. The moment the papers were finalized, my phone buzzed. A text from Adrian. Zion's first day went well. Kid actually has talent when he's not trying to be the boss. Another message followed, this one from Blair. First art class scheduled for next week. Thank you, Lauren. The papers will be processed by morning, Ms. Parker said, gathering the documents. The first therapy session is scheduled for Thursday. We'll be there, Bridget said quickly, too quickly. Of course you will, I stood up, because if you're not, you'll be looking for a new place to live by Friday. Lauren, Leo called as I reached the door. The lunar eclipse, the night you were born. I turned back. Yes? I was the one who started it all. The superstition. Your mother just followed my lead. I was scared. Scared of having a daughter born on such a dark night. Scared of what it might mean. But I was wrong. The darkness wasn't in you. It was in me. For a moment, just a moment, I felt that little girl again, desperate for her father's approval. I pushed the feeling away. Save it for therapy, Dad. You've got a lot of sessions ahead to work through your fears. Outside, Evelyn waited in my car. How did it go? They signed, just like I knew they would. And how do you feel? I looked back at the building where my parents were probably still sitting, shell-shocked by how completely their lives had changed. I feel nothing and everything. They're going to hate living under my rules, my control, just like I hated living under theirs. But you're giving them a chance to change, Evelyn pointed out. I'm giving them what they never gave me, an opportunity to prove they can be better. My phone buzzed again. A message from the family group chat Zion had created. Zion, first day done. Lauren's company is incredible. Blair, art supplies arrived for the classes. Still can't believe this is happening. Bridget, we signed. Lauren, thank you for not giving up on us completely. Leo, we'll do better this time, I promise. I didn't respond. Promises were easy. Change was hard. They'd learn that in therapy. Take me back to the office, I told Evelyn. I need to check on Zion's progress, review Blair's art program budget, and make sure the property transfer for the house is processing. Look at you, Evelyn smiled, taking care of everyone, even after everything. I'm not taking care of them, I corrected her. I'm making them take care of themselves. There's a difference. But as we drove away, I couldn't help but wonder if maybe, just maybe, breaking the curse meant more than just proving them wrong. Maybe it meant giving them the chance to be right, finally, after all these years. 3 months passed. I sat in my office reviewing the weekly reports, Zion's performance evaluations, Blair's art program attendance, my parents' therapy session notes. Everything looked perfect on paper. Too perfect. Adrian burst in without knocking. We have a situation. What kind of situation? Your father's at the Grove. He's drunk, telling everyone who will listen about how his cursed daughter is controlling their lives. My stomach clenched. Get the car. When we arrived at the Grove, Leo was standing on a chair in the main dining room, wine glass in hand. Bridget pulled at his sleeve, trying to get him down. My daughter thinks she can buy our love back, he announced to the horrified diners. She thinks money can erase what we did. Dad, I said sharply, get down. He spun toward my voice, nearly falling. There she is, the cursed child who became queen. Are you happy now, Lauren? Are you satisfied? Security, I called out, but kept my eyes on Leo. Clear the dining room. As guests were escorted out, Leo finally stepped down from the chair. His eyes were red, wild. I can't do it anymore, he slurred. The therapy, the confessions, the constant reminder that we ruined everything. Leo, please, Bridget begged. You're going to ruin this too. That's the point, he shouted. I want to ruin it. I want her to kick us out, take it all away. At least then we'd have our pride. Pride? I laughed bitterly. Is that what you call it? The pride that made you abuse your daughter? The pride that's making you drunk in my restaurant? Your restaurant, he spat. Everything's yours now. Our home, our lives, our dignity. You gave up your dignity long before I took control, I said coldly. The moment you decided a lunar eclipse meant your daughter was cursed, you lost everything that mattered. Blair and Zion burst in, obviously called by Bridget. Dad, what are you doing? Blair cried. Getting free, Leo stumbled. I'd rather be homeless than live under her power. Zion stepped forward. Like we lived under yours? At least Lauren's giving us chances to succeed. All you gave us was fear. Don't you dare defend her. Leo swung around. She's destroying our family. No, Dad, I said quietly. You destroyed our family. I'm just showing you the wreckage. Lauren, Bridget stepped between us. Please, he's drunk. He doesn't mean... Yes, I do, Leo roared. I meant every word back then, and I mean them now. You were born cursed, Lauren, and now you're cursing us right back. The room fell silent. Even in his drunken haze, Leo seemed to realize he'd crossed a final line. Well, I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. Thank you for making this easy. You violated the contract. You have 24 hours to vacate my house. Lauren, no. Blair grabbed my arm. Please, he's just... Showing his true colors? I pulled away. Good, I was starting to think I was the only one who could see them. You can't do this, Bridget whispered. Actually, I can, and I will. I turned to security. Please escort Mr. and Mrs. Brewer out. They're banned from all my properties. What about us? Zion asked quietly. I looked at my siblings, really looked at them. Blair, who'd been trying so hard with her art programs. Zion, who'd become one of our best programmers. Your contracts are separate. As long as you continue meeting the terms, nothing changes. Leo laughed harshly as security approached. See? Turning my own children against me. That's the real curse. No, Dad, I said as they led him away. The real curse was having a father who cared more about superstition than his own daughter. But don't worry, that curse ends today. After they were gone, Blair collapsed into a chair, crying. Zion stood awkwardly, looking lost. I'll have my lawyers draw up new living arrangements for you both, I said. You won't have to go back to that house. Lauren, Blair looked up, tears streaming down her face. What happens now? I straightened my jacket, already composing emails in my head to my legal team. Now we stop pretending we can fix what was broken 32 years ago. Some curses can't be lifted. They can only be ended. As I walked out of the grove, I heard Zion say to Blair, maybe this is for the best. Maybe we all needed to see who Dad really is. Maybe they did, but I'd known all along. And now, finally, the truth had eclipsed the lies they'd built their lives around. The night air felt different as I stood on my office balcony, watching another lunar eclipse paint the sky. Evelyn handed me a glass of champagne. Your new cooking show premieres in 10 minutes, she said. Nervous? Not about the show. I took a sip. Blair's art exhibition opens tomorrow. She invited them. Are they coming? No, they're living in a small apartment across town. Dad's still bitter, Mom's still enabling. I turned as Adrian joined us. But that's not my problem anymore. Speaking of problems, Adrian held up his tablet. Zion's team just landed the Miller account, biggest tech contract we've had. He did? I couldn't hide my surprise. Turns out your brother's pretty brilliant when he's not trying to prove something to your father. The TV inside my office flickered to life. Promotional ads for my new show, Lucky Moon Kitchen, started playing. You really leaned into the moon theme, huh? Evelyn smiled. Why not? Time to rewrite the narrative. My phone buzzed. A text from Blair. Watching the premiere with Zion. So proud of you, sis. Thank you for not giving up on us. Another message followed from Zion. Dad's going to hate seeing you on national TV. Good. Your siblings really turned around, Adrian observed. They're trying. That's more than our parents ever did. The show's opening sequence began. Me in a professional kitchen, moonlight streaming through windows, the camera capturing the moment I'd dreamed of since I first started cooking in that lonely kitchen of my childhood. In every family, my voice narrated on screen, there are recipes passed down through generations. But in my family, the only thing passed down was fear. Tonight, I'm going to show you how I turned that fear into flavor, that curse into cuisine. Bold, opening with your story, Evelyn said softly. People deserve the truth, every ingredient of it. My office door opened. Blair and Zion walked in, carrying takeout bags from the grove. Surprise? Blair called out. We couldn't let you watch alone. How did you get past security? I asked, but I was smiling. I might have programmed us permanent access, Zion admitted. You can revoke it if you want. I didn't want to. For the first time, having my siblings near felt right. "Mom called," Blair said quietly as we settled in to watch. "Asked if we could convince you to give them another chance." And I told her that chances aren't given, they're earned, just like you taught us. On screen, I was teaching viewers how to make the first recipe, my grandmother's mooncakes, reimagined with a modern twist. "Remember these?" Zion asked. "You used to make them even when they made you eat alone." "I remember you sneaking taste when Mom wasn't looking," I replied. "I remember wanting to invite you to eat with us but being too scared," Blair added. "I'm not scared anymore." The show continued, but we were barely watching now. Years of unspoken words tumbled out, memories both painful and precious surfacing like stars appearing after an eclipse. "I have something to show you," I said, pulling out 2 envelopes. "New contracts. No conditions this time, no therapy requirements, no mandatory programs." "What's the catch?" Zion asked. "The catch is you have to choose, really choose, to be part of this family we're building. Not because you have to, but because you want to." Blair opened her envelope. You're making us partners in the business?" "Small shares," I clarified. "But yes, you've both proven yourselves. This isn't about control anymore, it's about creation." "What about Mom and Dad?" Zion asked. "Their story is their own now. We're writing a new one." On screen, the episode was ending. The camera panned out to show the moon through the kitchen window as I delivered the closing lines. "They say some people are born under lucky stars, others under cursed moons. But I've learned that the only real curse is believing you don't have the power to change your story. So tonight, let's cook up something magical together." "To new stories," Evelyn raised her glass. "To chosen family," Adrian added. "To the curse that became a blessing," Blair and Zion said together. I looked at my siblings, my friends, my empire built from the ashes of superstition, and raised my own glass. To the moon that showed us who we really are. Outside, the eclipse was ending, the moon emerging whole and bright. Some might call it a sign, but I knew better now. The only signs that matter are the ones we choose to follow, and I'd finally found mine. Not in the stars above, but in the family I'd built right here on Earth.
The crystal champagne flute shattered in my grip, sending shards of glass and bubbling liquid across the marble floor of our family's estate. The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on my sister Nicole's beaming face as she stood in the center of what was supposed to be my 30th birthday celebration. "I'm pregnant," she repeated, her hand resting on her still flat stomach, "and Leon's the father." My name is Saij, and this is how my perfect life crumbled in exactly 23 words. Leon, my fiancé of 2 years, stood frozen near the French doors, his face drained of color. Our eyes met across the room, and I saw everything I needed to know in that single glance. "Saij, He started, taking a step toward me. I raised my hand, silencing him. The cut on my palm from the broken glass was starting to sting, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the hollow feeling spreading through my chest. "How long?" I asked, my voice steady despite the chaos in my head. Nicole's smile faltered slightly. "Does it matter?" "How long?" Christine, my best friend since college, appeared at my side with a napkin for my bleeding hand. "Maybe we should take this somewhere private," she whispered. "No," I said loudly, ensuring everyone could hear. "I think this is exactly the right place for this conversation. After all, what's a birthday party without some entertainment?" The gathered guests, friends, family, business associates, shifted uncomfortably. Some were already edging toward the exits, while others seemed rooted to the spot, unable to look away from the unfolding drama. 6 months, Leon finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The timeline hit me like a physical blow. 6 months ago, I had been in Europe, overseeing the expansion of our family's business. 6 months of late-night calls where Leon claimed to be too busy to talk long. 6 months of Nicole insisting she was taking care of things at home. "Saij, we never meant to hurt you." Nicole stepped closer, reaching for my arm. "It just happened." I jerked away from her touch. "Just happened. Like accidentally burning dinner, or forgetting to pay a bill. That kind of just happened." You were always gone, Leon interjected, finding his voice. The business took up all your time, and Nicole was here, and we— And you what? I turned to face him, my voice razor-sharp. You thought you'd fuck my sister while I was building our future. Several gasps echoed through the room. Good. Let them all witness this. I think everyone should leave, Christine announced, taking charge of the situation. She began ushering guests toward the door, while I remained rooted to my spot, staring at the two people I had trusted most in the world. I'll move out tomorrow, Leon offered, as if he was doing me a favor. A laugh bubbled up from somewhere deep inside me, a strange, hollow sound that made both Leon and Nicole flinch. No need, I said, reaching for a fresh glass of champagne from a nearby server's tray. This is still my party, after all. I raised the glass high, drawing everyone's attention. A toast, I announced, my voice carrying across the now half-empty room. To new beginnings, to truth, to family. I locked eyes with Nicole. To karma. I drained the glass in one go, set it down with deliberate care, and walked toward the grand staircase. As I reached the first step, I turned back to face them one last time. Oh, and Nicole, I smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. Congratulations. I hope it was worth it. Later that night, after the last guest had gone and the house had fallen silent, I sat at my desk with my laptop open, accessing files I'd hoped I'd never need to use. My hand, now properly bandaged thanks to Christine, hovered over the keyboard. A soft knock at the door made me look up. Christine stood there, concern etched on her face. Are you okay? She asked. No, I answered honestly. But I will be. She nodded, understanding in her eyes. What are you going to do? I turned back to my screen where financial records and legal documents waited for my attention. I'm going to remind them both that karma isn't just a word you throw around at yoga class. Sage. Don't worry, Christine. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I closed the laptop and stood up. I'm just going to do what I do best, take care of business. As Christine left, I caught my reflection in the window. Behind the hurt and anger, I saw something else in my eyes. Determination. They thought they knew me, thought they could predict how I'd react. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Harvey's office always smelled like old leather and expensive coffee. I sat across from him, sliding a folder across his polished desk, while he reviewed the documents inside with raised eyebrows. Are you absolutely certain about this, Sage? He looked up at me over his reading glasses. Once we set these wheels in motion. I've never been more certain of anything in my life, I replied, crossing my legs. Do you have the power of attorney papers ready? He nodded, pulling out another set of documents. Your father signed these over to you years ago. With these, you have complete control over the family's business interests. He paused, studying my face. Does Nicole know about these? My dear sister was always more interested in spending money than learning how it was made. I took the papers, scanning them quickly. She has no idea. My phone buzzed for the 20th time that morning. Leon's name flashed across the screen again. I declined the call without hesitation. He's been trying to reach you, Harvey asked, though it wasn't really a question. They both have. Apparently the gravity of their situation is finally sinking in. I allowed myself a small smile. Amazing how quickly priorities change when you realize you've betrayed the person who controls your trust fund. Harvey leaned back in his chair, concern evident in his expression. You know, revenge isn't always the answer, Sage. This isn't just about revenge, Harvey. This is about consequences. I stood up and walked to his window, looking out over the city. They made their choices. Now they get to live with them. A knock at the door interrupted us. Harvey's assistant poked her head in. Mr. Schmidt, Ms. Nicole is here. She's quite insistent about speaking with you. I turned around, meeting Harvey's questioning look. Perfect timing. Let her in. Nicole burst through the door seconds later, her designer handbag swinging wildly. Sage, I've been trying to reach you for days. She stopped short when she saw the papers spread across Harvey's desk. What's going on? Sister dear, I said, my voice honey-sweet. I was just finishing up some business. You remember business, right? That thing that pays for your shopping sprees and yoga retreats? Cut the crap, Saj. Nicole's face flushed. Leon told me you've frozen all the accounts. Even my personal one. You can't do that. Actually, I can. And I did. I picked up one of the documents and held it out to her. Maybe if you'd paid attention during all those family meetings instead of texting under the table, you'd know about this little thing called power of attorney. Nicole snatched the paper, her eyes widening as she read. This isn't fair. Daddy would never— Daddy did. Years ago. I took the paper back from her trembling hands. He knew exactly what he was doing when he put me in charge. I'm pregnant, Sage. You can't just cut me off. Tears welled up in her eyes. What about the baby? Ah, yes, my future niece or nephew. I sat back down, crossing my legs. Don't worry, I'm not completely heartless. You'll receive a modest monthly allowance, enough to cover basic necessities. No more designer shopping sprees, though. I hear Target has lovely maternity wear. Nicole's face crumpled. Why are you being so cruel? Cruel? I stood up slowly, my calm facade cracking slightly. You want to talk about cruel? How about sleeping with your sister's fiancé? How about announcing your pregnancy at my birthday party? That kind of cruel? I love him, she whispered. And I loved you both. I gathered my papers, sliding them into my briefcase. Harvey, please make sure everything is filed today. I'll be leaving town tomorrow. Leaving? Nicole grabbed my arm. You can't leave. Where are you going? I gently removed her hand. That's the beauty of it, Nicole. I don't have to tell you anything anymore. As I walked to the door, I paused and turned back. Oh, and you might want to let Leon know that his position at the company has been terminated. His severance package should cover a few months' rent on a modest apartment. I hear the east side of town is quite affordable. I left Nicole standing there, her mouth open in shock. In the elevator, I finally allowed myself to shake just for a moment. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Christine. Everything okay? She asked when I answered. It's done, I replied, stepping out into the lobby. Did you get the apartment set up? All ready for you. Are you sure about this? I pushed through the revolving doors into the bright sunshine. Absolutely. It's time for a fresh start. Back home, I placed my letter on the dining room table where they couldn't miss it. As I packed the last of my essential belongings, I could hear Leon's car pulling into the driveway. Perfect timing. He could read it with Nicole. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about causing pain. It's about walking away and taking everything they took for granted with you. Christine's guest room had become my sanctuary over the past week. The sound of her coffee maker gurgling to life each morning was a welcome change from the deafening silence of my old house. I sat at her kitchen island, scrolling through the dozens of missed calls and messages on my phone. They're still trying to reach you. Christine placed a steaming mug in front of me. 17 calls from Leon yesterday alone. I showed her the screen. And Nicole's been emailing Harvey non-stop. Have you read any of them? Don't need to. I took a sip of coffee. Harvey forwards me the important bits. Apparently Leon tried to access his corporate credit cards yesterday. That must have been a fun surprise at the gas station. Christine's phone chimed. She glanced at it and grimaced. Nicole's asking me where you are. Again. Tell her I moved to Tibet to become a monk, I suggested, managing a small smile. Saj. Christine set her phone down. You know you'll have to face them eventually. Before I could respond, my laptop pinged with a new email notification. The sender's name made my heart skip a beat. Marcus Stewart, CEO of our biggest competitor. What is it? Christine asked, noticing my expression. I turned the screen toward her. Remember how Leon was handling our merger negotiations? Yeah. Turns out he'd been feeding information to Stewart Industries for months. I opened the email, scanning its contents. Marcus is offering to tell me everything in exchange for a meeting. That son of a— Christine stopped herself. What are you going to do? I closed the laptop with a decisive click. I'm going to meet him. The restaurant Marcus chose was exactly what you'd expect from a CEO. Expensive, discreet, and with private booths perfect for sensitive conversations. He stood as I approached, offering his hand. Seiji, thank you for coming. I sat down without taking his hand. Let's skip the pleasantries, Marcus. What did Leon tell you? He pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. Everything. Profit margins, expansion plans, client lists. He was quite thorough. I flipped through the documents, each page making my blood boil more. Why are you showing me this? Because I have a daughter, Marcus leaned back, studying me. And if someone did to her what your sister and Leon did to you, well, let's just say I understand why you're doing what you're doing. This isn't about revenge, I started. Of course it is, he interrupted, but it's also about business. And that's why I'm here. He pulled out another document. I want to make you an offer. Later that evening, I returned to Christine's place to find her pacing the living room. Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for hours. Meeting ran long, I said, dropping my bag. What's wrong? Nicole showed up here looking for you. She was hysterical, Saija. Leon lost their apartment. Something about the lease being in your name. Imagine that. I kicked off my heels. She's pregnant, Saija. Where are they supposed to go? They're adults, Christine. They'll figure it out. I pulled out Marcus's offer letter. Besides, I have bigger things to worry about. Christine read the letter, her eyes widening. Holy shit. Are you going to accept? I haven't decided yet. I walked to the window, watching the city lights flicker on as dusk settled. It would be the smart business move. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I opened it and felt my stomach drop. Remember that summer in Cape Cod, the message read. When you made me promise to always protect you. I kept that promise until Leon. I'm so sorry, sis. I deleted the message, but the words had already burned themselves into my memory. That summer, the last one before our parents' divorce, before everything changed, felt like a lifetime ago. Say? Christine's voice pulled me back. You okay? I need to make some calls, I said, heading for my room. And Christine, if Nicole shows up again, tell her I moved to Mars. Alone in my room, I pulled out my laptop and opened a new email. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I considered my next move. The merger deal with Stewart Industries would devastate Leon's career prospects. No company would touch him after this scandal broke. And Nicole? Well, she'd learn that trust funds don't last forever. As I typed my response to Marcus, another text came through. Please, Sage. We need to talk. L. I blocked the number and hit send on the email. Some conversations weren't worth having anymore. Some betrayals cut too deep for words to fix. Besides, I had a merger to plan. The boardroom felt colder than I remembered. Harvey sat beside me as we watched the quarterly report scroll across the projector screen. The numbers weren't good. As you can see, Harvey pointed to a particularly alarming graph. Without Leon's client relationships, we've lost significant ground in the Asian market. Those were my father's clients first, I reminded him, before he handed them over to Leon. Yes, but... Harvey was interrupted by my phone buzzing. Another text from Nicole. The baby's kicking. Please call me. I switched the phone off and turned back to Harvey. What are our options? We need someone managing those accounts personally, someone the clients trust. He gave me a meaningful look. Someone like you. Before I could respond, my assistant Julia burst into the room. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Leon is in the lobby. He's refusing to leave until he speaks with you. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. Well then, let's not keep him waiting. The elevator ride down felt eternal. When the doors opened, I saw him immediately, wearing the same suit he'd worn to countless client meetings, but looking somehow diminished. You can't ignore me forever, Sage, he said as I approached. I'm not ignoring you, Leon. I'm moving on. There's a difference. I gestured to the seating area. But since you're here, let's talk. We sat across from each other, the ghost of our past hanging between us. The merger with Stewart Industries, he started. You can't do this. Actually, I can. And I am. I crossed my legs, watching him squirm. Marcus was very interested in the information you shared with him, though I suspect you didn't mean for him to share it with me. Leon's face paled. I can explain. Save it. I held up my hand. You didn't come here about the merger. Why are you really here? He leaned forward, his voice dropping. Nicole's not doing well, Sage. The stress. The doctor says it's not good for the baby. We're staying in a motel off Highway 9. And we need help. Please. His eyes met mine, pleading. Whatever you think of me, this is your niece or nephew we're talking about. I stood up, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows. You know what I remember, Leon? I remember planning our wedding, picking out china patterns while you were fucking my sister, discussing baby names while you were starting your own family behind my back. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I turned to face him. Explain it to me. Help me understand how you could do this to someone you claim to love. I did love you. He stood up, running his hands through his hair. But you were always working, always focused on the business. Nicole was there. She understood. Understood what? That my hard work paid for her lifestyle? For your fancy suits? I laughed bitterly. Get out, Leon. And tell Nicole to stop texting me about the baby. I'm not interested in playing happy families. As security escorted him out, Christine appeared by my side. That looked intense. Nothing I couldn't handle. I checked my watch. Ready for lunch? At our usual cafe, Christine pushed her salad around her plate. Nicole called me this morning. Of course she did. She's scared, Sage. They're running out of money and the motel is exactly what they deserve. I set down my fork. Why does everyone expect me to feel sorry for them? Because you're better than this, Christine said quietly. Because the Sage I know wouldn't let her sister live in a motel, pregnant or not. My phone buzzed again, this time with an email from Marcus. The merger details were finalized. One signature, and Leon's career would be effectively over. The Sage you knew died at that birthday party, I said, picking up my phone. Besides, I have a company to run. Back at the office, Harvey was waiting with more bad news. 3 more clients have pulled their accounts. They're asking for Leon specifically. I sank into my chair, the weight of everything finally hitting me. He built relationships with them for years. Of course they want him. There might be a way to salvage this, Harvey suggested carefully. If we brought Leon back, just for the Asian market. No, I stood up abruptly. I'll handle it myself. Book me on the next flight to Singapore. As I packed up my desk, a photo fell from one of the folders, Nicole and me at her college graduation, both smiling, both happy, before everything fell apart. My phone buzzed one last time. Doctor says it's a girl. Thought you should know. N. I slipped the photo back into the folder and grabbed my coat. Some bridges, once burned, leave nothing but ashes. And I was done trying to rebuild from ruins. Singapore's heat hit me like a wall as I stepped out of the taxi. 3 days of back-to-back meetings had left me exhausted, but I'd managed to salvage most of our Asian partnerships. My phone rang as I entered the hotel lobby. Christine. You need to come home, she said without preamble. Now. I have 2 more meetings tomorrow. Nicole's in the hospital. The world tilted slightly. What happened? Complications with the pregnancy. She's stable, but... Christine paused. She's asking for you. I sat down heavily in one of the lobby's plush chairs. I can't just drop everything and... Damn it, Sage! Christine's voice cracked. This isn't about your revenge anymore. This is about your sister and your niece. How far are you willing to take this? Before I could respond, another call beeped through. Harvey. I have to go, I told Christine. I'll think about it. Harvey's news wasn't any better. Marcus Stewart is backing out of the merger. What? Why? He says the negative publicity isn't worth it. Apparently someone leaked the story about Leon's involvement to the press. It's being spun as corporate espionage. I pressed my fingers to my temples. How bad is it? Bad enough that our stock dropped 12 points this morning. He sighed. Seg, we need to consider damage control. 4 hours later, I was on a plane back home, my head spinning with possibilities. The merger was supposed to be my masterstroke, the final nail in Leon's professional coffin. Instead, it had backfired spectacularly. I found Christine waiting at the airport. Before you ask, Nicole's condition has stabilized, she said as we walked to her car. But there's something else you need to know. She handed me her phone. On the screen was a social media post from Nicole. To everyone asking about the scandal. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I hurt my sister. But destroying our family's legacy isn't the answer. Sage, if you're reading this, please remember who we used to be. Remember Cape Cod. She posted that from her hospital bed, Christine said quietly. It's gone viral. I handed the phone back, my hands shaking slightly. Take me to the hospital. The maternity ward was quiet when we arrived. Leon was slumped in a chair outside Nicole's room, his suit wrinkled, his eyes red. He straightened when he saw me. Saja, don't. I held up my hand. Is she awake? He nodded, stepping aside. Nicole looked small in the hospital bed, monitors beeping steadily around her. She opened her eyes as I approached. You came, she whispered. Christine can be very persuasive. I sat in the chair beside her bed. How are you feeling? Like karma finally caught up with me. She tried to smile, but it came out more like a grimace. The baby. They say she's under stress. I looked at the monitors, at the steady heartbeat of my unborn niece. Why did you post that message? Because someone had to stop this war. Nicole reached for my hand. I let her take it. We're destroying everything Dad built, Sage. Is that what you want? What I wanted was a sister I could trust, a fiancé who loved me. I pulled my hand away. What I wanted doesn't matter anymore. It matters to me. She struggled to sit up. Remember what Mom used to say? Family is family even when they're wrong. Mom left us, I reminded her. But we stayed together. Nicole's eyes filled with tears. Until now. A nurse entered, checking the monitors. Blood pressure's still high, she murmured. You need to rest. I stood up. I should go. Sage, wait! Nicole grabbed my wrist. The company. Dad's legacy. It needs both of us. You know that. Outside the room, Christine was waiting. Well? Call Harvey, I said, pulling out my phone. Tell him to draft a new proposal. Shared leadership of the Asian division. Contingent on certain conditions. You're going to work with Leon? No. I looked back at Nicole's room. I'm going to work with my sister. Leon's on his own. As we walked out of the hospital, my phone buzzed with a text from Harvey. Making things right doesn't make you weak. It makes you worthy of the trust your father placed in you. I looked up at the night sky, remembering Cape Cod, remembering promises made and broken. Maybe it was time to make new ones. Christine, I said, let's go get a drink. I need to tell you about my new business plan. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's finding the strength to rebuild what's broken, not for others, but for yourself. The conference room buzzed with tension as I laid out the new contracts. Nicole sat across from me, her baby bump now visible beneath her maternity dress. Harvey stood at the head of the table mediating what had become our most important family meeting. The terms are simple, I said, sliding the papers toward Nicole. You get control of the domestic operations. I maintain the Asian market and international expansion. We make decisions about the company's future together. Nicole skimmed the documents. And Leon is not part of this discussion. I kept my voice firm. This is between us. He's the father of my child, Sage. And that's the only reason he's not facing corporate espionage charges. I leaned back in my chair. Take it or leave it, Nicole. Harvey cleared his throat. Perhaps we should take a break. No, Nicole interrupted, reaching for a pen. I'll sign. As she scrawled her signature across the pages, my phone lit up with a message from Christine. Leon's in the lobby. Says he needs to talk to you both. Important. Speaking of the devil, I muttered, showing Nicole the message. She put down the pen. We should hear him out. Fine. I stood up. Harvey, could you... Minutes later, Leon walked in, clutching a manila envelope. He looked worse than at the hospital. Unshaven, his clothes slightly rumpled. Make it quick, I said. He pulled out several papers from the envelope. I've been offered a position in Dubai. Nicole's hand flew to her stomach. Dubai? But the baby. I'm not asking you to come with me. He placed the papers on the table. I'm here to sign away my rights. The room fell silent. Even Harvey, who'd seen his share of family drama, looked shocked. What are you talking about? Nicole's voice shook. I'm poison here. Leon ran a hand through his hair. Everything I touch falls apart. The company, our relationship. I need to start fresh. And you both need me gone to heal. I picked up the papers. Legal documents relinquishing any claim to company assets and, more surprisingly, parental rights. You can't be serious, Nicole whispered. I am. He turned to me. You were right, Sage. About everything. I betrayed you, the company, our future, and Nicole. He looked at her, his eyes wet. I ruined your relationship with your sister. I can't fix that while I'm here. So you're running away? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. That's your solution? I'm giving you both what you need. A clean break. He pulled out a pen. Unless you object. Nicole stood up suddenly, knocking her chair backward. I need some air. As she rushed out, Harvey followed, leaving Leon and me alone. Dubai? I said flatly. That's far. Not far enough, probably. He started signing the papers. For what it's worth, I really did love you, Sage. I just loved myself more. Save the confessions for someone who cares. I gathered the signed documents. You should go. Nicole needs time to process this. He nodded, standing. At the door, he paused. Take care of them? Both of them? Get out, Leon. After he left, I found Nicole in the building's rooftop garden, Christine sitting quietly beside her. He's really leaving, Nicole said as I approached. Looks that way. I sat down on her other side. Are you okay? No, she wiped her eyes. But maybe that's fair. We hurt you so badly. Maybe this is our karma. Christine squeezed her hand and stood up. I'll give you two a minute. Once she was gone, Nicole turned to me. I don't want to do this alone. You won't be. The words surprised me as much as her. You signed the contracts, remember? We're stuck with each other now. She managed a weak laugh. Just like Cape Cod. No. I shook my head. This is different. This is us choosing to be sisters again, not just being born that way. My phone buzzed. Harvey reminding us about the press conference announcing the company's new structure. Ready to face the wolves? I asked, standing and offering her my hand. Nicole took it, letting me help her up. Together? Together. I straightened her dress. But if you ever betray me again, you'll destroy me completely? She attempted a smile. Worse, I'll make you handle all the quarterly reports. As we headed back inside, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, but maybe understanding. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive isn't the one who hurt you, but yourself for letting them. 3 months passed in a blur of meetings, contracts, and tentative reconciliation. I was reviewing quarterly reports in my office when Harvey burst in, his usual composure shattered. Turn on the news, he said, grabbing the remote. The business channel filled my wall screen and my stomach dropped. There was Leon standing at a podium in Dubai, revealing company secrets to the international press. Systematic manipulation of market data, his voice filled my office. The company's Asian expansion was built on fraudulent numbers. My phone exploded with notifications. Nicole burst into the office, her pregnancy now in its final weeks. Have you seen? I'm looking at it right now. I turned up the volume. Their father knew, Leon continued. He covered it up for years. I have proof. Nicole collapsed into a chair. He's lying. Dad would never. Ms. Sage, Julia rushed in. Marcus Stewart is on line 1, and the SEC just called. I held up my hand for silence, watching Leon pull out documents on screen, documents I'd never seen before with our father's signature clear as day. Harvey, I turned to him. Is this possible? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Your father. He had his ways of doing things. You knew, Nicole's voice cracked, all this time? I suspected. Harvey sat heavily up, but I never had proof. My phone rang again. Christine. Turn on the news, she said when I answered. Already watching. Can you come over? On my way. I turned back to the screen just as Leon dropped his final bomb. And I have evidence that current management knew about these irregularities and chose to continue the deception. That's a lie. Nicole struggled to her feet. We never... She stopped suddenly, grabbing her stomach. Nicole! I rushed to her side. The baby, she gasped. Something's wrong. The next few hours were chaos. While Christine took Nicole to the hospital, Harvey and I dealt with the fallout. The SEC wanted meetings. Shareholders were panicking. Our stock was in free fall. We need to make a statement, Harvey said, pacing my office. Get ahead of this. With what? I gestured at the stack of documents he'd just shown me. Our father built this company on lies. Everything we thought we were protecting. My phone buzzed. Christine. Baby coming. Get here now. Go, Harvey said. I'll handle things here. At the hospital, I found Christine in the waiting room. How is she? In labour. She's asking for you. I followed a nurse to the delivery room. Nicole lay there, pale and scared. Seiji, she reached for my hand. I'm sorry. About everything. About Dad. Stop, I took her hand. That doesn't matter right now. But the company will still be there tomorrow. I squeezed her hand. Right now you have more important things to focus on. Hours later, as dawn broke over the city, my niece entered the world. 6 pounds, 4 ounces of new beginnings. She's perfect, Nicole whispered, cradling her daughter. I watched them from the corner of the room, my phone silently cataloguing the destruction of everything our father built. Harvey had sent preliminary numbers. We'd lost millions in market value. The SEC was launching a formal investigation. Do you want to hold her? Nicole asked. I hesitated, then stepped forward. As I took my niece in my arms, she opened her eyes, bright, innocent, untouched by the sins of her grandfather or the mistakes of her parents. What are you going to name her? I asked. I was thinking, Grace. Nicole watched us carefully. Because that's what we all need right now. My phone buzzed again. Harvey. Press conference in 2 hours. What's our play? Looking down at Grace, I made my decision. We tell the truth, I texted back. All of it. That could destroy everything, he replied. No, I wrote. Lies destroyed everything. The truth might save us. I handed Grace back to Nicole. I have to go handle something, but I'll be back. Sage? Nicole called as I reached the door. Whatever happens with the company, we're still sisters, right? I thought about our father, about his lies and the empire he built on them, about Leon's betrayal and his final act of revenge, about karma and consequences and the tiny baby who deserved better than all of this. Always, I said, but this time we do things differently. No more secrets. No more lies. As I left the hospital, the sun was fully up, painting the sky in shades of new beginnings. Sometimes I realized revenge doesn't look like what you expect. Sometimes it looks like truth, like grace, like the courage to tear everything down and build it back up right. The boardroom was packed with reporters as I approached the podium. Nicole sat in the front row, Grace sleeping peacefully in her arms. Harvey stood to my side, his face grim but supportive. Thank you all for coming, I began, my voice steady. Today I want to talk about legacy, not just my father's, but the one we choose to create. Camera shutters clicked rapidly as I pulled out the documents Leon had revealed, along with others he hadn't known about. These papers show systematic fraud spanning 2 decades. My father built this company on deception, and for that, we are deeply sorry. I paused, meeting the eyes of various reporters. But that ends today. I outlined our plan, a complete restructuring, transparent audits, compensation for affected parties. With each detail, I watched the reporters' expressions shift from skepticism to cautious hope. Ms. Sage, a reporter stood up. Sources say you knew about these irregularities. How do you respond? I didn't know, I said firmly. But I should have. My desire for revenge against my sister and against Leon, blinded me to what was happening in my own company. Nicole shifted in her seat, tears streaming down her face. "And now?" another reporter called out. "What happens to the company?" "We rebuild," I gestured to Nicole. "My sister and I are announcing a complete overhaul of our operations. Every contract, every deal will be reviewed. We're bringing in independent auditors and establishing new oversight measures." "And what about Leon?" someone shouted. "Will you press charges?" "No." I saw Nicole's head snap up in surprise. His actions, while devastating, forced us to confront uncomfortable truths. Sometimes, it takes losing everything to see what really matters. After the press conference, Christine found me in my office, packing up my father's old photographs. "That was quite a show," she said, picking up a frame. "You okay?" "Getting there." I sat on the edge of my desk. The SEC is being surprisingly cooperative, given our voluntary disclosure. "And Nicole, taking Grace home today?" I smiled slightly. "She asked me to come over for dinner." "Will you go?" The door opened before I could answer. Nicole walked in carrying Grace. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, "but someone wanted to see her aunt before heading home." Christine squeezed my shoulder and slipped out, leaving us alone. "That was brave," Nicole said, sitting down. "What you did in there. It was necessary." I reached out to touch Grace's tiny hand. She deserves better than what Dad left us. "We all do." Nicole shifted Grace to her other arm. "I got a message from Leon." My hand froze. What did he want? To apologize, actually. He said watching you handle everything with such grace made him realize what he lost. She looked up at me. "He's not coming back." "Good." I stood up, walking to the window. The city stretched out below, unchanged despite our world turning upside down. "You know this won't be easy, right? Rebuilding everything? Nothing worth doing ever is." Nicole joined me at the window. "Remember what Mom used to say about storms? It's not about waiting for them to pass," I quoted. "It's about learning to dance in the rain." "Well," Nicole adjusted Grace's blanket, "I'd say we're in for quite a dance." My phone buzzed. Harvey with updates about our major clients. Most were staying, impressed by our transparency. A few had jumped ship, but surprisingly, Marcus Stewart wasn't one of them. "He says he respects how we handled things," Harvey's message read. "Wants to discuss a legitimate merger when the dust settles." I showed Nicole the message. "What do you think? Ready to build something real this time? Together?" She smiled, reminding me of summers in Cape Cod, of promises made and broken and made again. "Together." I touched Grace's cheek gently. For her. As the sun set over the city, casting long shadows through the office windows, I realized something profound. Revenge hadn't given me what I wanted. Peace had come from facing the truth, from choosing to break cycles instead of perpetuating them. "Take her," Nicole said suddenly, holding out Grace. "I need to use the bathroom." This time I didn't hesitate. As I held my niece, she opened her eyes and grabbed my finger with surprising strength. "Hey there, little one," I whispered. "Welcome to the family business. Don't worry, we're doing things differently now." Grace gurgled in response, and for the first time in months, I felt truly, completely at peace. Sometimes karma isn't about getting even, it's about getting better. And sometimes, the best revenge is choosing not to seek it at all.
I stared at the crystal wine glass, watching the Cabernet swirl like blood, and thought about how much I'd spent keeping my family comfortable over the years. The exact number made me sick, 147 and 432 hours. I'd been keeping track since I was 19. My name is Yvette, and I'm that daughter, the responsible one, the successful one, the family ATM. Tonight was just another performance in our endless dysfunctional play, staged in my parents' McMansion, that my commission checks helped furnish. "Sweetie, pass the potatoes to your brother," Mom chirped, barely glancing at me. Nathaniel sat there with his usual smirk, designer watch glinting, another gift he'd guilted me into buying last Christmas. I passed the dish, forcing a smile. "How's the new business venture going, Nate?" "Oh, you know how startups are," he waved dismissively. His wife Taya nodded supportively,
though we all knew his crypto consulting was just another scheme. 3 failed businesses, and somehow I was still the family disappointment. Dad cleared his throat, sharing that look with Mom, the one that always preceded asking for money. "We have exciting news. Your mother and I have been thinking—" "We're planning a family cruise!" Mom burst out, clapping her hands. 2 weeks in the Mediterranean. Isn't that wonderful? My fork froze halfway to my mouth. That's quite a trip. "We found this amazing package," Nathaniel jumped in, pulling up photos on his phone. "5-star luxury liner, all the best excursions. The kids will love it." I knew where this was heading, the same place it always did. "Of course," Dad added, "with the market being what it is, we thought, since you're doing so well with your promotion." 20,000, Mom said brightly. "For the whole family. That's nothing for you now, right? With your fancy executive position?" The room went quiet. I could hear the expensive clock on the wall, the one I'd bought them, ticking away seconds of my life. $20,000, I repeated slowly. "For a cruise I'm not even going on?" "Oh, but you'll come too." Mom's voice dripped honey. "We wouldn't dream of excluding you. Family vacation." "I can't take 2 weeks off work right now." The lie tasted bitter, but not as bitter as the truth. I didn't want to spend 2 weeks trapped at sea with them. Nathaniel's face darkened. "Seriously? After everything this family's done for you?" I almost laughed. Everything they'd done for me? Like missing my college graduation because Nathaniel had a hangover? Or telling me my promotion to marketing director was just pushing papers around? "I just think," I started. "You're being selfish," Mom cut in, tears already forming. "We never ask you for anything." "Except the down payment for Nate's house," I muttered, "and his wedding, and his kid's private school." "That's different," Dad slammed his hand on the table. "He has a family to support." "And I don't matter because I'm single?" The words escaped before I could stop them. Taya shifted uncomfortably in her chair. The kids, thankfully, were in the other room playing video games, probably on the console I'd bought last birthday. "Nobody's saying that," Mom sniffled, "but you're so blessed. Don't you want to share your blessings with family?" I looked around the table, at my brother's entitled smile, my father's stern disapproval, my mother's manipulative tears, and Taya's studied neutrality. Something inside me snapped, not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, clean break. "You know what?" I smiled, reaching for my wine. "You're right. You deserve this cruise. Let me handle everything." Their faces lit up instantly. Of course they did. They never could resist a handout. "I knew you'd come around," Mom beamed. "I'll send you the cruise details. We want the best cabins, obviously. And the premium drink package. Oh, and those special dining experiences." I nodded, already mentally drafting an email to my assistant, Carrie. "Don't worry, everyone will get exactly what they deserve." "That's my girl," Dad said proudly, as if he'd had anything to do with my success. Nathaniel raised his glass. "To family." I clinked glasses with them, my smile never wavering. They had no idea what they'd just set in motion. After all these years of taking, they were about to learn what giving really felt like. "To family," I echoed, draining my wine. "And to karma." They laughed, thinking I was making a joke. But as I watched them celebrate their free vacation, I made myself a promise. By the end of this cruise, they'd understand exactly how it feels to be the family disappointment. I had $20,000 and 15 days at sea to teach them that lesson, and I intended to make every single moment count. "Carrie, I need you to book a very special cruise." I settled into my office chair the next morning, still buzzing from last night's decision. My assistant looked up from her tablet, already sensing this wasn't a typical request. "The Mediterranean one your family's been talking about?" She raised an eyebrow. Carrie had been with me long enough to know all about my family's financial demands. "Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting. I pulled up the cruise line's website. I want you to book the Royal Penthouse Suite for me. Just me. Carrie's eyes widened at the price. That's ambitious. I've got points from all my business travel, plus that bonus from the Peterson account. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. For the rest of the family, book the cheapest interior cabins available. Lower deck, no windows, minimal amenities. Oh my God! Carrie's professional facade cracked into a grin. Are you doing what I think you're doing? Let's call it a lesson in appreciation. I handed her my credit card. Book everything under my name. They don't need to see the details until we're on board. As Carrie worked her magic, I found myself remembering my college graduation day. I'd searched the crowd for my family's faces, but they never showed. Later, I got a text from Mom. So sorry, sweetie. Nathaniel had such a rough night, and you know how he gets. We'll celebrate another time. They never did. My phone buzzed, speaking of the devil. A text from Nathaniel. Hey sis, since you're handling the booking, we have some requirements. The list was ridiculous, connecting suites with ocean views, priority boarding, premium drink packages, specialty dining reservations, spa credits. I typed back, don't worry, everything's taken care of. Carrie cleared her throat. All done. Want to see the confirmation? I scrolled through the details. My suite was spectacular. Private butler, exclusive restaurant access, priority everything. Their cabins? Well, they'd have beds and bathrooms. Technically, that's all they'd asked for when guilting me into this trip. Should I send them the confirmation? Carrie asked. No need. Just email them their boarding passes the day before. Less time to complain. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Darling, make sure we're all seated together for dinner every night. You know how important family meals are. I remembered all the family meals where they'd criticized my career choices, my relationship status, my selfish focus on work. Don't worry, Mom. I've arranged everything perfectly. Carrie was still watching me. You know they're going to lose it when they see their rooms, right? That's the point. I pulled out an old journal from my desk drawer. I hadn't written in it since high school, but this felt like something worth documenting. They want me to pay for their vacation? Fine, but this time I'm writing the script. What about your brother's kids? Carrie asked softly. I've arranged for them to have access to all the kids' activities and unlimited ice cream. They're innocent in this. I started writing in the journal. Day 0 of the Karma Cruise. My office phone lit up, Dad calling. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing what he wanted. Sure enough. Princess, just checking on those dinner reservations. Your mother's worried about the seating arrangements, and make sure we have that wine package. I closed my eyes, remembering last Christmas when he dismissed my promotion announcement to fawn over Nathaniel's latest business idea. 3 months later, guess who they came to when that business needed emergency funding? Carrie? I looked up at my assistant. Book me a table for one at the ship's most exclusive restaurant, every night. What about your family? The buffet is included in their basic package. I smiled, writing another line in my journal. They always say I need to learn to share. Time to show them I was listening. My phone lit up with another text from Nathaniel. BTW. Taya wants spa access and the kids need the premium Wi-Fi package. You're the best sis. I texted back. You'll get exactly what you deserve. Can't wait. Carrie watched me close my journal. You're really doing this? 15 days at sea, no escape routes, just them, their choices, and the consequences. I stood up, gathering my things for a meeting. They wanted a family vacation? They're about to get an education instead. As I walked to the conference room, my phone buzzed one last time. A family group text from Mom. So excited! This will be the trip of a lifetime. I smiled, thinking of their tiny, windowless cabins and my sprawling penthouse suite. Yes, I whispered to myself. Yes, it absolutely will be. The port was chaos. thousands of excited passengers hauling designer luggage while seagulls screamed overhead. I spotted my family immediately. Mom filming everything for her social media, Dad complaining about the walk, Nathaniel hurting his kids while Taya posed for selfies. "There's our sponsor!" Nathaniel called out, waving dramatically. "The best sister in the world!" I adjusted my sunglasses, reminding myself to savor every moment. "Ready for your dream vacation?" "This is going to be amazing." Mom hugged me, her expensive perfume overwhelming. "Did you get all our requests? The dining reservations? The spa packages?" "Everything's arranged." I gestured to a porter. "Let's get checked in." The VIP check-in line was empty. The regular line stretched forever. "Oh, good thinking." Dad started walking toward VIP. "You got us priority boarding, right?" "Actually," I smiled sweetly, pointing to the main line, "that's your check-in area. I'll see you on board." Their faces fell in perfect unison. But we're family," Mom sputtered, "and I'm in a different cabin category." I waved as the VIP attendant called me forward. "Don't worry, I'll find you once you're on board." An hour later, they finally made it onto the ship, looking wilted and irritated. I'd been enjoying a welcome champagne in the exclusive lounge, watching their progress through the floor-to-ceiling windows. "There you are!" I met them in the grand atrium. "Ready to see your rooms?" "Finally," Nathaniel grumbled. "This better be good after that wait." We crowded into the elevator. Mom was still filming, narrating about family luxury at sea. I pressed the button for Deck 2. "That can't be right," Dad frowned. "The good rooms are up top." "Trust me." The elevator descended. The hallway was narrow, the carpet worn. Room numbers ticked by until we reached 2187 and 2189. "Here we are." I swiped the key cards and pushed open the doors with a flourish. The silence was deafening. 2 tiny cabins greeted us, each barely bigger than a walk-in closet. Metal bunk beds lined the walls, no windows, no sitting area, just a basic bathroom and a small desk. "There must be some mistake," Mom whispered, her phone dropping to her side. "No mistake." I handed out the key cards. "You asked me to book the cruise, and I did. Nathaniel, Taya, and the kids are in this one. Mom and Dad, you're next door." But, Taya looked close to tears. "Where's the ocean view? The balcony?" "Oh, did you want those?" I blinked innocently. "You should have specified. These are the standard cabins included in the basic package." "This is ridiculous!" Nathaniel exploded. "We can't stay here. Where's your room?" "The Royal Penthouse Suite." I checked my watch. "Speaking of which, my butler is waiting to help me unpack. You should get settled. The safety drill is in an hour." "Butler?" Mom's voice cracked. "You got yourself a butler?" "Well, it comes with the suite." I started backing toward the elevator. Along with the private restaurant access, spa privileges, and premium everything else. You know how these luxury cruises are. You get what you pay for. "But we're your family." Dad's face was turning red. "Exactly." I stepped into the elevator. "And family always gives exactly what's asked for. You asked me to book the cruise. You never specified the accommodations." The doors started closing. Nathaniel stuck his hand out to stop them. "You did this on purpose," he hissed. "Did what? Book exactly what I could afford to give?" I smiled. "Isn't that what you've always taught me about family obligations?" The doors closed on their stunned faces. As the elevator climbed to the top deck, I pulled out my phone and opened my camera. The penthouse suite was everything the brochure promised. Sprawling rooms, private balcony, marble bathroom bigger than their entire cabins. Cameron, my butler, greeted me with another glass of champagne. "Shall I unpack for you, Ms. Yvette?" "Yes, please." I walked out onto my private veranda, overlooking the entire ship and the sparkling Mediterranean beyond. My phone buzzed with angry texts. "Mom, this is unacceptable." "Dad, we need to talk now." "Nathaniel, fix this or else." I opened my camera app and took a stunning photo of the view. In the group chat, I typed, "How's your view? Oh, wait," and hit send. Then I blocked them all, turned off my phone, and sank into a plush lounger. Somewhere below, my family was crammed into their tiny cabins, finally experiencing what it felt like to be on the receiving end of someone else's generosity. The ship's horn blasted, signaling our departure. 15 days at sea were just beginning, and Karma had only started to set sail. "Your hot stone massage is scheduled for 2, followed by the caviar facial," Cameron informed me as I finished my private breakfast on the veranda. "Would you like me to escort you to the spa?" "That would be lovely." 3 days into the cruise, and I'd settled into a deliciously luxurious routine. My family, meanwhile, had been desperately trying to upgrade their rooms. Unsuccessfully, of course. I'd made sure of that. "Excuse me," a voice called as I crossed the pool deck. "Mind if I join you?" I turned to find an attractive man about my age, wearing a well-fitted linen shirt and an easy smile. "I'm Caleb," he said. "I couldn't help noticing you dining alone last night in the Pearl, the ship's most exclusive restaurant, where I had a standing reservation." "Yvette," I replied, "and yes, I prefer it that way." "Same here. Family cruise?" I laughed. "You could say that." Before I could elaborate, a familiar screech cut through the air. "Yvette Marie!" Mom was storming across the deck, designer caftan fluttering dramatically. Dad and Nathaniel flanked her like angry bodyguards. "If you'll excuse me," I smiled at Caleb. "Family meeting, apparently." "This ends now," Mom hissed, reaching us. "We've tried being patient, but this is humiliating. Do you know what people are saying?" "That depends," I said calmly. "Are they saying it in the luxury spa I can't seem to find you in, or the premium restaurants where you don't have reservations?" "Stop being petty," Nathaniel snapped. "The kids are miserable. Taya can barely sleep on those awful beds." "Funny, I slept just fine on a futon all through college while paying your mortgage." Dad stepped forward. "We demand you upgrade our rooms immediately." "Or what?" I met his gaze steadily. "You'll stop asking me for money? Cut off contact? Please threaten me with a good time." "I raised you better than this," Mom's voice cracked theatrically. "No, you raised me to give exactly what I'm asked for. No more, no less." I turned to Cameron. "I believe I have a spa appointment?" "Your family seems upset," Caleb commented as we walked away. He'd witnessed the whole thing. "They're learning that Karma has excellent timing." I paused. "Would you like to join me for dinner tonight? I have a feeling you've got some family stories of your own." Later that evening, over Wagyu beef and fine wine, Caleb shared his own history of family exploitation. His parents had drained his inheritance before disowning him for being gay. "So now I take luxury cruises alone," he finished. "Best revenge is living well, right?" Speaking of revenge, I nodded toward the main dining room entrance, where my family was being turned away from the premium restaurant. Again. "Miss Yvette," Cameron appeared at our table. "Your mother is insisting on speaking with you. She's quite persistent." I sighed. "Excuse me, Caleb." I found Mom by the maitre d's station, face flushed with anger and cheap wine from the buffet. "Having trouble with your dinner plans?" I asked sweetly. "This is ridiculous. We're family. We should be eating together." "Really? Like all those family dinners you skipped when I made partner? Or my birthday last year when Nathaniel's kid had a soccer game?" "That was different." "You're right. This is different. Because this time, I'm the one deciding who sits at the good table." I gestured to the buffet. "I hear they're serving meatloaf tonight. Enjoy." Back at my table, Caleb raised his glass. "To family karma." "You know what the best part is?" I took a sip of wine. "They did this to themselves. All I did was give them exactly what they asked for, a cruise. They never specified the accommodations." Malicious compliance at its finest. My phone buzzed. A text from Nathaniel. "The kids are crying. They can see your balcony from the deck, and keep asking why Aunt Yvette won't let them visit. Hope you're happy being cruel to children. I showed Caleb the message. He always did know how to twist the knife. What are you going to do? I typed back. The kids have unlimited access to the adventure club and ice cream parlor. Check their key cards. Unlike some people, I don't punish children for their parents' sins. Nice touch, Caleb nodded. Through the window, I could see my family huddled at a buffet table, looking miserable and out of place. Mom wasn't even filming for social media anymore. Sometimes, I said, raising my glass, the best revenge isn't about being cruel. It's about finally being fair. To fairness, Caleb clinked his glass against mine. And to karma, I added, served a la carte. Both kids have stomach bugs from the buffet. Taya cornered me by the pool on day 6. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. And Nathaniel's back is killing him from those horrible beds. The ship has a medical center, I replied, not looking up from my book. On deck 4. We can't afford the fees. Please, Yvette. If not for us, then for the children. I lowered my sunglasses. Interesting. Now you care about what children can afford? What's that supposed to mean? Remember when I needed emergency dental surgery in college? Mom and Dad said they couldn't help because they were paying for Nathaniel's destination wedding to his first wife. Taya flinched. That's not fair. No, it wasn't. I reached for my phone. But I'll do you one better than they did. I pulled up the ship's app and transferred credits to their cabin account. That's for the medical center, just for the kids. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me. Just remember this feeling, needing help and having to beg for it. She hurried away just as Caleb arrived with 2 tropical drinks. Family drama? The usual. I accepted the drink. How's your morning been? Interesting, actually. I overheard your parents at breakfast. He settled into the lounger next to mine. Your mom was complaining to another passenger about her ungrateful daughter who abandoned them in steerage while living like a queen. I laughed. Did she mention the 3 credit cards I paid off for her last year? No, but the other passenger wasn't sympathetic. Apparently your reputation precedes you. The crew loves you, and word's gotten around about your success. Meanwhile, my family's social currency is dropping faster than Nathaniel's failed crypto investments. A commotion erupted near the main pool. Dad was arguing with a crew member, his voice carrying across the deck. What do you mean we can't access the adults-only pool? We're adults! I'm sorry, sir, but that area is reserved for suite guests only. My daughter's in a suite. She's right there. All eyes turned to me. I waved cheerfully. I'm sorry, sir, the crew member repeated, but your cabin category doesn't include access. Dad stormed off, face red with humiliation. Mom trailed behind him, no longer the social butterfly she'd been at the start of the cruise. Harsh, Caleb commented. Want to know what's harsh? I pulled out my phone and played a voicemail from last Christmas. Really, Yvette? Mom's voice dripped with disdain. Another promotion? Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with work, you'd have a family of your own by now. No man wants a woman who's too ambitious to be lovable. Caleb's eyes widened. Wow. That's not even the worst one. I felt tears threatening and blinked them away. Sorry, I don't usually share these. Don't apologize. My parents sent me a Bible and conversion camp brochures for Christmas. We sat in understanding silence until Cameron appeared. Ms. Yvette, your brother is rather insistent about speaking with you. He's at the Platinum Bar. I found Nathaniel nursing a beer, probably the only drink he could afford on the basic package. Come to gloat? He slurred. Depends. Come to apologize? For what? Being Mom and Dad's favorite? He laughed bitterly. You know what your problem is? You're jealous. Always have been. Jealous? I sat down. Of what? Your failed businesses? Your 2 divorces? The fact that you're 40 and still living off other people's money? At least I have a family who loves me. No, you have a family who uses you to hurt me. There's a difference. He deflated slightly. The kids miss their aunt. The kids have unlimited ice cream and activities. They're fine. You're the one who's not handling being treated like a normal person very well. Please, his voice cracked. Make it like it was before. You mean when I was the family ATM? When you could guilt me into financing your life while treating me like garbage? I stood up. Those days are over, Nate. Welcome to consequences. You're being cruel. No, I'm being fair. For the first time in my life. I turned to leave, then paused. By the way, remember that investment opportunity you needed help with last spring? $30,000 for your crypto consulting firm? He nodded warily. I tracked those transfers. You spent it all at casinos. I smiled as his face paled. Imagine if Mom and Dad found out what their golden child really does with all that family support. You wouldn't. Keep pushing me, and we'll find out. I walked away, leaving him with his cheap beer and expensive secrets. Back in my suite, I found a message from Caleb. Dinner tonight? I hear the sunset view from the Pearl is spectacular. I smiled, feeling lighter despite the confrontation. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about making others hurt. It's about finally letting yourself heal. Miss Yvette, would you mind sharing your insights about digital marketing? A woman in designer resort wear approached my poolside cabana. I heard you're the marketing director who handled the Thompson account. This was happening more frequently now. Word had spread about my career success, and suddenly I was the person everyone wanted to talk to. Of course, I smiled, gesturing for her to sit. From across the deck, I could see Mom watching, her face pinched with jealousy. I can't believe we have a marketing genius on board, another passenger chimed in, joining us. My daughter's starting in advertising. Would you mind if she asked you a few questions? By lunch, I had a small crowd gathered, hanging on my every word about industry trends and career advice. Cameron kept the drinks flowing while I networked effortlessly, something that had always infuriated my family. They never understood how I could be so antisocial at home, yet command attention in professional settings. Your mother tried joining the captain's table for dinner, Cameron informed me quietly. They declined her request. Apparently her attempts to name-drop you backfired when other guests shared unflattering stories. I spotted her sitting alone in the main dining room, picking at her buffet food. For once, she wasn't filming for social media. Hard to maintain the illusion of luxury when you're eating mass-produced lasagna while your daughter dines on lobster 3 decks up. Yvette! Caleb waved from the entrance to the Pearl. Ready for dinner? Before I could respond, Nathaniel materialized, reeking of cheap beer. Must be nice, living the high life while your family suffers. Nate, you're making a scene. You know what people are saying about us? He swayed slightly. That we're parasites, that we've been living off you for years. They're treating us like we're... Poor? I supplied. You mean like how I was when I was paying your mortgage? We're being treated like second-class citizens. No, you're being treated exactly like your cabin category dictates. Just like I was treated exactly how you all decided I deserved, no matter how much I achieved. A small crowd had gathered, watching the drama unfold. Mom appeared, trying to pull Nathaniel away. Not now, she hissed. You're embarrassing us. Oh, now you care about embarrassment? I laughed. Not when you told everyone at my law school graduation party that I was settling for a marketing career. Not when you made me sit at the kids' table at Thanksgiving because Nathaniel's new girlfriend needed my seat. That's different, Mom protested. You're right, it is different, because this time I'm the one deciding who sits where. I turned to Caleb. Shall we? Our table's waiting. This isn't over, Nathaniel called after us. Actually, it is. I paused at the restaurant entrance. By the way, I've arranged for the ship's photographers to take a family portrait tomorrow. Professional lighting, premium package, the works. Mom's eyes lit up. Really? Yes, but since you're in basic cabins, you'll have to pay for it yourselves. Should only be about $2,000. I smiled sweetly. That's nothing for family, right? Their faces fell as they recognized their own words thrown back at them. Inside the Pearl, Caleb ordered champagne. You know what's fascinating? Watching them experience exactly what they put you through. The best part? I'm not even being cruel. I'm just letting them live exactly the way they chose to book. Basic accommodations, no privileges, no special treatment. While you live your best life. While I live honestly, I corrected. No more pretending their behavior is okay. No more financing their delusions. My phone buzzed. A text from Taya. The kids are asking why everyone's fighting. Please, can't we fix this? I showed Caleb the message. They always do this. Use the kids as emotional leverage. What are you going to do? I typed back. The kids have access to every activity they want. The adults made their choices. Stop using children as weapons. You know, Caleb said thoughtfully, the most powerful thing about all this is that you're not actually doing anything to them. You're just refusing to save them from themselves. Through the window, I could see my family huddled by the rail, looking lost and small against the sunset. Mom wasn't filming anymore. Dad wasn't bragging to strangers. Nathaniel wasn't smirking. They were just themselves, without my money and support to hide behind. To karma, Caleb raised his glass. To truth, I replied, clinking glasses, served with a side of consequences. Below us, the ship sailed on, carrying us all toward whatever revelations tomorrow would bring. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't responsible for anyone's happiness but my own, and that felt better than any revenge could. The captain's gala was everything the brochure promised. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, and an orchestra playing softly in the background. I adjusted my emerald silk gown, a purchase I'd made guilt-free with my own money. You look stunning, Caleb said, offering his arm. He cleaned up nicely in a tuxedo. Ms. Yvette, Cameron appeared, looking concerned. Your family is attempting to enter without proper credentials. I turned to see them arguing with the doorman. Mom wore her old wedding guest dress, Dad in his funeral suit, while Nathaniel and Taya were notably overdressed for people who'd spent the last 10 days complaining about being broke. Let them in, I said quietly. It's time to end this. They spotted me immediately, making their way through the crowd like heat-seeking missiles. How dare you try to exclude us? Mom's voice carried, causing nearby guests to turn and stare. Exclude you? I thought you'd be tired of fancy events. Isn't that what you said about my promotion party? The one you skipped for Nathaniel's pottery class showcase? That's enough, Dad stepped forward. This ends now. You've made your point with this childish revenge? Childish? I laughed. Like making me pay for Nathaniel's gambling debts while calling me selfish for wanting to buy my own home? The crowd was definitely listening now. Caleb squeezed my arms supportively. Keep your voice down, Mom hissed. People are staring. Good. Let them stare. Let them hear how you made your daughter pay for everything while treating her like nothing. We gave you everything, Mom's voice cracked. Really? Let's list what you've given me. I stepped closer. You missed my college graduation because Nathaniel was hungover. You called my promotion pushing papers around while praising his failed crypto scams. You made me pay his mortgage while telling everyone I was too ambitious to be lovable. That's not, Nathaniel started. Oh, should we talk about the money, Nate? The 30 grand you blew at casinos, the business loans you never paid back, the credit cards I'm still paying off? Taya gasped. You said that money was for your consulting firm. And you, I turned to my parents. Every time I achieved something, you turned it into a reason I should give more. Every success became an obligation. Every promotion meant I owed the family another handout. We're your family, Dad shouted. No, you're parasites who used guilt to fund your lifestyle while treating me like an ATM with daddy issues. The room had gone silent. Even the orchestra had stopped playing. Ms. Yvette speaks the truth, Cameron stepped forward. I've witnessed their behavior this entire voyage. They've attempted to access premium services without payment, demanded upgrades they didn't book, and treated the staff horribly. Other passengers began nodding, murmuring their own observations. "You've ruined us," Mom whispered, tears streaming down her face. "No, you ruined yourselves. I just stopped hiding it." I took a deep breath. "By the way, this entire cruise, it's on my credit card. I never asked for a dime from any of you." "What?" Nathaniel's face went pale. "You didn't think I'd actually make you pay, did you? Even now you assumed I'd foot the bill, because that's what I always do, right? Clean up your messes, fund your failures, take your abuse, and come back for more?" "Yvette, please." Taya stepped forward. "Think of the children." "I did think of them. That's why they have full access to activities while you all learn what it feels like to not be entitled to everything you want." "You've turned everyone against us," Dad accused. "No, I just stopped protecting you from the consequences of your own actions." I turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Nathaniel? The casino might want to talk to you about those bounced checks. Turns out they have branches in every port." They stood there, humiliated and exposed, as I walked away with Caleb and Cameron. Behind us, I could hear the whispers, the judgments, the truth finally breaking free. "That was magnificent," Caleb said as we reached the upper deck. "It wasn't revenge," I replied, watching the stars reflect off the Mediterranean. "It was liberation." Cameron appeared with champagne. "To freedom," he offered. "To truth," Caleb added. "To finally understanding," I raised my glass. "That family isn't about what you owe. It's about what you're worth." Below us, the ship sailed on through the night, carrying all our stories toward whatever dawn would bring. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of tomorrow. Because I'd finally learned that the greatest revenge isn't making others suffer. It's refusing to suffer for them anymore. The last morning of the cruise, I found a stack of notes slipped under my door. The first was from Mom. "We'll never forget this betrayal. Don't bother coming to Christmas." I laughed, remembering all the Christmases I'd funded. The next note was from Dad. "You've torn this family apart. I hope you're satisfied." Taya's note was different. "The kids miss you. Please don't punish them for our mistakes." I picked up my phone and made a transfer, $500 to an education account for each of my niece and nephew. Then I texted Taya, "The money is for their school supplies only. Use it wisely. That's it. Forever." The last note was from Nathaniel. "We need to talk. Please." I found him at the breakfast buffet, looking haunted. "The casino called," he said without preamble. "They're pressing charges unless I pay by the end of the month." "Sounds like a you problem." "Yvette, please, one last time. Help me fix this." "No." I sat down across from him. "But I'll give you something better. The truth. You're not stupid, Nate. You're talented when you actually try. But you'll never succeed while you're living off other people's money and effort." "I don't know how to be anything else," he whispered. "Then learn, like I did, without a safety net. Mom and Dad won't speak to you again." "Promise?" I smiled. "Because that sounds like the best gift they've ever given me." Cameron appeared. "Ms. Yvette, Mr. Caleb is asking if you'd like to share a final breakfast in the Pearl?" "Actually," I looked at my brother, "I think I'm done here. Forever." At the Pearl, Caleb was waiting with coffee and understanding. "How did it go?" "Better than therapy," I laughed, "and cheaper in the long run." "Speaking of the long run," he slid a business card across the table. "I'm in New York next month for work. Maybe we could get dinner?" "I'd like that." I took the card, feeling something light and possible flutter in my chest. "As long as you don't ask me to pay for your family's vacation." "Deal," he grinned, "though I do expect you to split the bill." Now that's the kind of family values I can get behind. As we prepared to disembark, I watched my family struggling with their luggage, no porter in sight. Mom was crying quietly, her social media dreams shattered. Dad looked older, smaller without his usual bluster. Nathaniel held his children close, finally facing consequences. Ms. Yvette, Cameron handed me a package. The photos you requested. Inside was a single shot from the beginning of the cruise, my family posing proudly, expecting luxury, not knowing what was coming. Next to it was a photo from last night's gala, me in emerald silk, laughing with Caleb, finally free. I took out my phone and blocked their numbers one by one, not with anger, but with peace. Then I texted Carrie, "Book me a spa day when I'm back. I'm celebrating my retirement from being the family bank." "Already done," she replied. "Also, your brother's wife called the office. I told her you were booked solid through forever." On the dock, Caleb helped me with my bags. "Any regrets?" "Just one," I said, watching my family head toward their budget shuttle. "That I didn't do this sooner." "It's never too late to set boundaries." "Or to start over," I added, thinking of his business card in my wallet. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from my niece. "Thank you for the ice cream, Aunt Yvette. Mom says we can't see you anymore, but I'm going to remember how you made me feel special anyway." I wiped away a tear and typed back, "Being special is something no one can take from you. Remember that." Then I turned to Caleb and Cameron. "Thank you both for witnessing this, for making it easier." "Thank you for showing us what real strength looks like, Val," Cameron said. "And what real change looks like," Caleb added. I took one last look at the ship that had changed everything, not through revenge, but through truth, not through cruelty, but through consequences. "Ready to go?" Caleb asked. "More than ready," I smiled, stepping into my new life. "I hear the view's better when you're not carrying everyone else's baggage." Behind us, the Mediterranean sparkled with possibility, and ahead, a future stretched out, one where family meant what I chose it to mean, where love didn't come with invoices, and where my worth wasn't measured in what I could give, but in who I could become. And that was worth more than any cruise could ever cost.